Like
Weird.
it always does that little
Ah,
weird.
what'd you say?
It always does that little like weird reset thing.
Yeah, like whenever I click the record on this, I'm never 100% sure when it starts. I
Mm-hmm.
always feel like I'm a second off or 3 seconds off. Like it's not perfectly clear when it starts. So I always got to give it like a little second of like, you know?
Mm-hmm. Hold on, let me. Oh yeah, now or I did full screen. I could see the whole map now. You know, I probably couldn't. I probably would be would be okay if someone. Now, if someone gave me a blank map,
Mhm.
I'd probably like really botch that shit.
So I mean, honestly, even for me, I think I would do pretty well with the US, like the
Like
states in the
states,
US.
yeah,
But
states I could be okay.
global map, I got massive blind spots, man.
Dog, there's places that just are like, I mean, even like the basic China and Russia. Like I'm looking over your shoulder.
Mhm.
It's like yeah, you feel like you know it, but then when they take everything away, even on like road tests, when they show you a street sign that like you know, but there's no words or nothing around it, it changes a lot. And
Well,
even song lyrics, like you could be singing some song that you know the shit, but then at karaoke, they take away like the person singing it, and you don't know the song at all.
yeah, yeah. Nah, see, the devil is second guessing yourself. Like that's
Mhm.
where it is. The
Yeah,
second there a little bit of doubt creeps in,
it's
then
over.
you're just like, because you'll even notice that when you're talking, you'll say a certain word, and you'll reflect on the word for a second and be like, "That's a weird word. Like, is that
Yeah,
really a word?"
yeah.
It happens all the time. Yeah, but for the US, I think I do decent, and I could get the major ones around the world, but I
Mhm.
definitely have a lot of blind spots. I would have to actually study for it to get like the entire. I mean, what percentage of people could actually get the entire global map, or even what percentage of the world could get 75% of the global map right? I mean, that's difficult.
That's yeah, like practically impossible. But like if I went in there on some G shit, like just straight confident and try to just hand it in, it'd almost be funnier than if I did second guess myself and try to actually sit down and think about what the right place is. I don't know.
Would you get any
I'd be terrible.
disastrously wrong? Like, would you get like, would you miss like Mexico or some
I
shit?
probably would. I mean, South America, maybe I'd be okay because I could probably get like three or four, and then there's a lot more that I just wouldn't get. So I probably actually wouldn't do that okay.
Well, even for me, like I think I would do pretty well with a map of the US with the states, but there was one time a while ago where I tried it and I kept being one off. Like I
Hmm.
would say like this is whatever, fill in the blank with some state. And I was always like just a little bit off. I would pick one that's like right next to it.
Hmm.
And so and honestly, nah, this is a little bit of an excuse. I was dyslexic when I was a kid, so I feel like that might feed into it, but nah, dyslexia wouldn't really give you that. That's just like
No,
knowing a
dyslexia,
little bit.
you'd have that problem that you just had. You probably put something in the state next to where it's supposed to go.
So you think it actually is a good excuse for why I'd be one off with the shit? Because yeah, when I was a kid, I was pretty dyslexic. I also was a stammerer, they called it, I think it's just another word for stutter.
Oh,
So like I would talk and I would be like the this I don't know what to do.
I feel
So it's
like
kind of
is
funny
it
that I talk
possible?
now.
Yeah, well, you're good at talking now, but I feel like is it possible? I feel like I've started to like develop that over time. Like I'm starting, I feel like when I talk, and maybe because it's like I don't know what it is, but I'll like either stutter or stammer or do some shit that's like I won't complete my sentence perfectly.
Mm.
So I
I
don't
don't.
know if it was just the last 2 years of not talking to people regularly.
I mean, it could develop. I guess. I guess in theory that's possible. I do feel like as I get older, I'm more in tune with my body in a sense. Like if something's off, I could be like, I'm a little off today. Whereas
Hmm.
when you're a kid, you just sort of plow through it and you don't think about it and you don't have the like self-awareness of it.
Yeah.
But like even if you're feeling just like a little bit under the weather, you could be like, I'm a little bit under the weather today, and I have more of a sense of my body now than I did before. So you're sort of describing that maybe with how you talk that now if you stutter a little bit, you might catch on to it. Whereas when you were a kid, maybe you didn't catch on to it, but you still did it or something, you know?
Oh, that's a good ass point. Yeah, I was gonna say like yeah, the opposite of that is like now I consciously like can hear myself like all right, you're sort of stuttering over that word or like can't get through that sentence, and then it like prolongs it even more where it's like makes it worse.
as somebody who did it, I think that's one of the main causes of it. You
Damn.
know, you could like focus on it too much or get way ahead of yourself and lose your place.
Hmm.
Like communication is very strange because it's almost like you could either do it or you can't. And you can even go through phases of doing it well and doing it poorly. And it's just a weird thing,
Hmm.
communication, it seems so arbitrary and like where the fuck does it come from? Like why is it possible? There are people who are phenomenal communicators, but they're not that bright, and there are people who are really bright who aren't good communicators. And it's like, well, how's that even possible? And I guess the answer is there's different kind of intelligences, like there was I was talking about this the other day with somebody. There's like, and these theories are controversial, like these
Hmm.
aren't widely accepted, but
No, it's not.
there's
There's dumb motherfuckers out there. There's smart people out there.
let me look up the nine intelligences. So this is a theory that some psychologists had
Hmm.
that I mean it struck a chord with me. It makes sense to me because I always feel like generally when somebody's off in one area, they usually make up for it in another area. So they can be
Yeah.
really not good in one area, but like they might be musically brilliant. Like so here's what they say. Let me find the thingy. Why is this one cut off? That's weird as fuck. Okay.
Like if
Everyone
you,
should know about the nine intelligences. This is a random ass article on it.
are
Let's
there
get
like nine dumbasses too? Like, are there like, there's
that'd
got to
be
be
funny.
like nine other sides of the equation.
So there's existential intelligence, linguistic intelligence, naturalistic intelligence, logical slash mathematical intelligence, interpersonal intelligence, visual and spatial intelligence, musical intelligence, bodily intelligence, and intrapersonal intelligence. So those are all the different types they say. I'm not going to go into each one like the specifics, but doesn't that feel like it makes sense to you? Because I definitely know people. There's some people who are like great communicators, but they're not good at much else. There's some people who have a brilliant math brain, but they can't communicate. There's some people who, are like musical savants and they're just really
Yeah.
good at that. Some people have a lot of visual, like spatial intelligence, like they have a good sense of their
I
body
wonder
and
where like
space.
athletic, like if athletic falls onto any of those categories, like
Oh,
athletic
definitely.
intelligent has to fall into one of those things, right?
I definitely think it does. I'm not sure which one it would be. I think it's probably bodily intelligence would be that.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I mean, it makes sense to me for sure, which is why whenever people judge too harshly about, maybe somebody's intelligence in one sphere, it's always like, you don't know what they're like in every other sphere. That person could be brilliant in some other way that we don't even know?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, someone like everyone has some type of like intelligence. Even like I don't know, when you see those like homeless people that look just super, super like whatever poor, and then they're like a crazy chest savant or something like that. Like I don't know, everyone. I feel like you start at a certain level and you can like deteriorate it by doing drugs or like alcohol or something like that. But you can probably enhance it too by like reading books and doing other shit. Or you
Well,
could
yeah.
just stay the same and like regular like doing a lot of stuff outside and just gaining like regular experience doing shit could probably help to your intelligence too.
Yeah, that's that old argument about the environment that is true. Like people's environment really impacts them. I mean, you take somebody and have them raised by wolves and they're going to act one way. You have them raised by like two brilliant parents, they're going to act another way. You have them neglected, they're going to act one way. You give them a lot of attention, they're going to act another way. You get raised in a household where, your family's worth $20 million, you might be a little bit of a spoiled brat. You get raised in a household where you're like working class, you might not be a spoiled brat. Like your environment affects you. And that's the thing. Like when you look at homeless people in particular, there's a lot of essentializing that happens of them where people look at them and they're like, oh, they must just be like a bad person. They must be like not moral, not ethical, not hardworking, et cetera, et cetera. But we don't know. Like each individual homeless person has their own story.
Yeah.
Like it might be a situation where, somebody's wife died and then they sort of mentally snapped because they were on the edge anyway. Maybe they have like some latent psychological issues like paranoid schizophrenia, and then their wife dies and they fall apart and they lose their job and they can't get a new job. And, like there's
That
things that
sounds like a
happen in the
terrible
world.
situation for that one person you just described.
Yeah, but like I'm sure there's some homeless person out there with a similar ass story, and I'm
Oh,
sure that
hell yeah.
just yeah, absolutely. People addicted to drugs who they have an interesting, detailed, and deep and complex personal life that they have parents and they have siblings and and I'm sure there are people who don't want that for that person, and sometimes shit just gets out of hand and people lose control. Like everybody should be fortunate. Everybody should feel fortunate they have a roof over their head. Like
You know what one of the most hardest things to do is, and don't get me wrong, I'll always give money to a homeless person or like help out in need and do all that stuff. But sometimes when I don't have any money on me or any change in my car, one of the hardest things to do is not make eye contact with a homeless person like when you're at a red light. Because I try to think like, all right, where do I normally like look when there's like no homeless person standing right here? But sometimes when I don't have anything to give, you gotta like when they're walking up to your car, you kind of have to make eye contact with them. So then I try to think, where do my eyes normally go if I'm not making eye contact with them? And it's just a weird like it sucks because you're like, damn, like that's a sucky situation. And two, like you kind of have to make eye contact and hit them with like a yo, I really don't have some shit right now. And
Yeah.
that's even like worse. And then the worst one is when they're like nice to you in the beginning and then you say you don't have some shit and then they hit you with like a well fuck you anyway and then you're like all right now I feel a little bit better that I didn't have anything to give you.
Yeah, I mean, it is a rough one, right? Because so I would say that for me, I have probably given like more money to homeless people who I've encountered on the street than most
When we
people.
were at Justin Jackson at In-N-Out Burger, you straight gave some dude like a $20 bill on some like G shit. Not even like you're balling, but like I think you just had that in your pocket. And like it wasn't like you were like I like kind of resonate with this guy right now. Like he's just out here. And it like you were just like, yo, here you go, dude. And I was like, damn, that's what's up.
So yeah, but so I'm gonna tell on myself a little bit though. So I'm telling you the good part before I get to the bad part. So the good part is I probably have, if you compare the amount I've given to individual homeless people that I've encountered, I've probably given more times than most people, and I've probably given more money than most people. I think that
Mm-hmm.
that's probably true.
Mm-hmm.
But having said that, there absolutely are times where like I morph into like a conservative, where I'm just for whatever reason, I might be in a bad mood that day, or maybe I didn't need something, or maybe I feel a little bit off, or maybe I'm in
Yep.
my own world in my car listening to music, and then I pull up at a red light and you see some dude walking up with like a poster and some shit. And look, I'm not condoning this. It's not a good thing that I do it, but I'll just do the straight. I'm not going to make eye contact right now for whatever reason. And so, it's tough because like what is the quote unquote right thing to do in that situation? Well, honestly, the more ethical and moral thing I think would be to sort of suck up whatever is going on in my own life and just be like, you know what, here's $5 or whatever. But I
Yeah,
don't do it
but if
every
you did
time.
that with everybody, you'd be broke. Like so, like you can't like
Well, that's not
heavily
true. I
owe
mean,
a homeless person something.
honestly, the sad reality is I probably encounter like two homeless people per week where they're in close enough vicinity where I
Yeah.
could give them some money. One time, so one I gave to one recently. I was walking in DC, and some this woman walked up to me, this like I want to say 35, 40-year-old black woman,
Uh-huh.
probably closer to 40, slightly overweight, um, but she didn't look homeless. Like she looked sort of working class, like she was out, she had a job, et cetera, et cetera. And then she like was like, "Excuse me, can I talk to you for a second?" And I was like, "Sure." And then she basically said that she was homeless, and she was like, "Do you mind giving me like $1, $5 or something?" And I slipped her some money, and she was like, "Thank you, God bless you." And then I thought about that later, and I was like, it's probably the case that I just like I got to her at the point when she was just very recently homeless, and who knows what's gonna happen and what's she gonna look like
Yeah.
in like in a month or two, being out there and being in that being living in a rough situation like that. And I just felt sad about it. I was like, damn, she definitely didn't look homeless, because again, everybody tends to do it. It's not a good thing, but we all tend to like essentialize homeless people to one extent or another, like, oh, maybe that's just who they are and what they want to do, etc. And it's like, not really, no. And she came on a bad streak and a bad time, and I was like, I wonder what happened. Like, how did she get to that point? And then it's like, there's so many homeless people. I mean, they say the official number is only about 500,000. It's way more than that. I would
Oh
guess
my
it's like
gosh.
2-3 million, more, maybe more. So
Dude, it's like one, I give homeless people credit because they're very smart. Like they're always in the most poppin' places. Like even places I wouldn't expect them to be. Like in New York, they'll be in the middle of the highway in the one spot they know gets backed up by traffic, and just be posted up there because they know you're gonna be like super standstill.
but let me ask you though, don't you feel, because this is how I feel, the times that I normally give, and again,
Mhm.
I think I give more than most people do, but the times I give it is actually not when I'm in my car and somebody's asking me when I'm in my car. I'm more generous, I think, when I'm like, when you catch me when I'm on the road, on the street, and you walk up to me in a situation, you know?
Yeah.
Don't you feel like that, or no? Do you feel like, are you more
Yeah.
likely to give in the car or on the street?
Yeah, the car one's a weird one for me. I kind of can't think of a time where I like have given in the car, but to your point, yeah, like if you're walking on the street and like you feel the elements outside and like it's cold and like you're walking and kind of miserable just from like your little 1-2 minute walk and you see somebody posted up there with just a little sign in front of them, you're kind of like, all right, I feel this dude right now. But like not to our like to my fault, but like if you're in your car and it's warm, the music's on, whatever, like I kind of can't feel what you're going through outside, you know? Like I don't know, so maybe that's a
I
reason.
I think the reason why I'm more likely to give outside than when I'm in the car is that when I'm in the car, I almost feel like it's an extension of my home. Like, this is my car. I'm in my home. Like, if somebody was knocking on my door when I'm sitting on my couch, like, can I have $20? I'll be like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Whereas if you catch me on the street, and the other thing is, and this, I think this is a very human reaction too. The other thing is, I think I probably give more when somebody it opens in a way and presents in a way where you're more sympathetic. So if somebody has really good social skills and they can hit you with a pitch, that's good. That's, I think, what I'm more likely to give more too.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I kind of feel like I'm the exact opposite. Even with people
Oh,
like trying to
interesting.
sell like mixtapes or something like that,
Hmm.
my first instinct is kind of just be like, no, which is weird because it's like
No,
I
no, no.
don't want to stand there and talk to you about your mixtape. Like, if
I'm with
I,
you on that. No, I'm
oh,
with you
okay,
on that. What I'm saying is, if somebody's like, "Hey, do you mind if I talk to you real quick for a second? I don't want to bother
see,
you,"
see,
like
you
something
have
like that.
more patience because I don't even
Oh, so
want
you
to really
immediately shut
engage
that
in.
off.
Yeah,
See, I only shut off if it's right out the jump. They immediately, like, they go right from 0 to 100 when they like, "Yo, buy my mixtape." I'm like, no. But if they hit me with some bridge shit, then I'm like, I'm listening. Like,
well,
what's
because
up?
I've never encountered a situation like that where it's like ended in someone saying to me like, "Hey, I'm gonna give you $20 for talking to me." It's always been some like, "Hey, can you buy some shit?" or can you give me $5 or can you give me $10?" Like it's never been anything beneficial to me. So until it is, I'm always just gonna be like, "No, like I don't have time for whatever you're trying to do."
I'll tell you what, I will stand by this though. I think you are doing more good if you give directly to a homeless person versus if you're giving to some charity that's supposed to give it to homeless people.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah,
Taco
whatever
Bell today hit
percentage.
me with this shit that I always talk about. They were like, "Do you want to donate money to the kids in school?" And I was like, "No." Like I do. If there was a kid outside of a school that asked me for some money, of course, I'll hit him with like a couple bucks to get like the banging lunch or something like that. But if Taco Bell's trying to tell me to give money to kids in school, I'm like, "No. I'll walk to a school right
Yeah.
now and give some kids some money
Because some
rather than
percentage of
let you
that
have my."
money, yeah, some percentage of that money doesn't go to the cause that they're saying it goes towards. And even at the grocery store, when you go on Christmas and then you walk out and there's the person dressed as Santa ringing the bell asking for
Yeah,
money.
Salvation Army, I don't fuck with that either.
Yeah, but and also when they ask, like sometimes you check out at a store and they're like, "Would you like to give $5 to this or this?" Like that they're using that as a tax write-off so that the company doesn't have to pay their fucking taxes. So there's
Yeah.
always like a catch and a scam. It is much better because a lot of people say if you give directly to a homeless person, well, how do you know that money's not going towards drugs? And my response to that is, even if it is, like, no, low key for real. Like even if it is, I mean, I would want to be on heroin if I was outside on a cold ass New York night in the city when it's dirty as fuck and the temperature is 28 degrees and
Yeah.
like like yeah, you need a meal, of course, and some of that money's going to go towards a meal, but if you want to survive that night, you might want to numb the pain by having some fucking heroin and bundling up. You know what I'm saying? So like even if it is like I hope that person gets help eventually. I hope they find their way through it. I hope they get out of the throes of addiction, but sometimes that you need a fix, and like I think that that's doing more good in the world than
Yeah.
going to some charity where, now by the way, I'm a little bit overstating it because I'm sure there's some charities where like all the stuff is documented and
They're
95%
all
of the stuff
corrupt.
goes to the right place. Now I think some are like I wish I remember the name of the website. If you
Like
guys
if any
remember the name of the
company has a
website, post it.
CEO or a president, that shit is stealing
Well,
some money somewhere.
but there was this independent company or agency that basically ranked all the charities and told you what percentage of the money is going towards what they say and what's not. And I forgot the name of the thing. If you guys remember it, post it in the comment section, because I feel like if there's some sort of independent verification that like over 80% of your money is going to the right thing, then that's cool. So there's some charities I'm sure do the right thing, but I think to your point, I think most of them are questionable as hell.
OD.
Yeah.
OD. I don't trust any. Like, again, if there's a president or someone on the payroll, they're finding a way. Like, if I donate an Xbox 360, that shit's not getting redonated out. They're donating like the PlayStations that don't work anymore, some shit like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So you sent me that video earlier. You were like 73 degrees, windows down,
Perfect.
sunroof open.
Perfect.
It was 73 today. That's awesome.
Yeah, 73. And Jed sent me like 5 songs that he like just said like, yo, these are bangers. And I didn't really have an excuse to go outside, but I was like, I'm gonna take a drive and just listen to them. So I put windows down, sunroof open, and just put the songs on. And it was just like, there's no better feeling than sometimes having like a, not right now with gas prices, but having like a hour and 15-minute drive somewhere when the weather's like that, because it's just like windows down, you're feeling good, music's playing, and like, I don't know, you kind of just don't think anything, you just zone out and get to where you got to go.
Yeah, no, this is, and I would argue this till I'm blue in the face. This is without a doubt the best time of the year when it's spring and the weather's just starting to get nice. And I'm different from most people. I never take a beautiful day for granted. If it's between 58 degrees and like 85 degrees and it's sunny, I never in my life have I been like, it's whatever. Like, no, I'm always like, oh my God, yes, this feels so good. I think my mood is tied more to the weather than most people.
Oh, 100%. I'm such a big like window guy, even in my house. Like I always, whenever it's just a nice breeze day, even like hot, I'll open up 2 windows to get that cross breeze. And I'm tight at Molly because in our bedroom, I want to get like air in there, just like when it's nice out. But she says there's mold on the window, so we can't open the window. But I'm kind of tight because I'm kind of like, I'm not gonna get like sick from this mold. Like it's not even moldy, but I can't open the windows, which is kind of getting me a little tight.
Yeah, so my mom has come after me because I do the same thing as you. Like the other night it probably got down to 50 degrees at night, but I kept the window open all night because I wanted that nice little that nice breeze. So in the spring, I leave it open, but sometimes the pollen gets everywhere.
Oh yeah.
But I'm like, I sort of don't give a fuck because I need that fresh breeze. I need that fresh air.
Yeah, I mean the pollen would maybe fuck me up a little bit, and sometimes when you forget when it's raining outside, like it'll just like on your couch. My dad's couch used to be right by the window, so if we left, the window was like always open because we lived in an apartment, and they like the apartment complex like regulated the heater, so the heater would just be like the dude just had like either 120-degree switch or put that shit down like off, so that shit used to be like hot as fuck.
Oh, I
and
couldn't
if
deal with
anybody
that.
like had an apartment, or you ever walk by some shit in the school and it's like those big old school furnace things that would get like super hot, and like you like there's no guardrails around it, there's no like shit don't touch, and it doesn't even look like some shit where if you touch it you'll OD get burnt. That's how like this heater shit was. It would get so hot, so we would always leave the window like cracked, even on cold days. But like when rain OD and it was like a heavy ass window, the whole couch would get like soaking wet.
Oh my God.
Smell, shit like that, probably pollen all on it. Ew.
Now, what kind of couch was it? Was it a cloth couch?
It was kind of gangster. I think we had an OG cloth one, but then my dad kind of got gangster with it and he got like the cloth, but it had like the leather on the back of it. So it was like, or he still has it. It's like black leather on the back, but cloth padding. So, it's kind of G because the arms are leather too. So if you're trying to lay down, your face can be like, nice and like squishy on like the leather.
So if the water got on the cloth though, you're gonna be fighting off some mildew and shit, right?
Yeah, there was definitely. But you know what's crazy is like, some people have couches that have like been through some shit.
Oh yeah.
Like been through some shit.
Oh yeah,
like,
I know. Yeah.
Like shit's been outside donated at their house, and motherfuckers will come pick it up and use that shit for like another 20 years. Like that's like college people do that shit. Like any couch you've sat at someone's frat house and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That couch started in like Grandpa Rick's basement in like 1913. Shit stayed in his house for like 20 years. Yeah, some couches. So like I had a couch in Illinois that was a bomb couch. Like I had some good, like if I laid down, it was over. But then
Mm-hmm.
one day we took our dog on a walking trail and we brought him back to the apartment, and they used to come on the couch with us. One day he had like ticks or fleas on him or some shit. The whole couch got like
That's terrible.
everywhere.
Because it's hard to replace a good couch because there's so much variation in how couches feel and how comfy they are.
Yeah.
And when you get a gem, you got to hold on to it. You know.
I got a bad couch right now downstairs, and
Oh.
we got that shit from Sears, and like Molly bought like a 9 or 10 year like warranty plan on it. Sears definitely doesn't have like their furniture store anymore. Or it was like J.C. Penney, some even weirder shit.
Yeah, those stores barely exist now. Those stores are like semi-dead at the moment, you know?
Yeah, like if I try to go back with some crazy ass receipt from 10 years ago, it'd be some dude who works there who's just working in between college. Like, yeah, I can't help you. Like, I'm not gonna give you you want a new couch from this piece of paper receipt?
Speaking of like JCPenney and Sears and places like that, Crystal and I have gone to the mall recently a bunch of times.
And deserted.
Like, well, this one in particular is not totally deserted. Like they're definitely struggling, but every time we go in, there's some people in there. It's not like empty. But every time I go, it reminds me, man, that like, number one, they're obviously on the way out. But number two, like, the younger generation is not going to experience that same sort of shit that we experienced in terms of like going to a mall and like chilling there and like going from store to store, because it is definitely a different experience. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm just as big a fan as anybody else is like clicking a couple buttons online and buying some shit. That's so much more easy. It's just convenient. Everybody's going to do it. Everybody does do it. But like, it's a different experience when you go to the mall and you go from one store to another store. You end up going to, there's a banging Chinese spot in the mall that we go to. It's top tier.
If I was a CEO or someone in a hiring position for a job, I don't care what's on your resume. Like, you could have Harvard, you could have like you spent 10 years at like this crazy tech company, blah blah blah. Like, your shit could be butter, like qualified for the job. And if it was you, and the next resume just said like Korean barbecue, worked as the dude who handed out like the Bourbon chicken in front of the like shit, that dude's getting hired. They had to stand outside of the restaurant. They weren't even allowed in the restaurant with a tray with little cups, like little like mouthwash cups of a piece of Bourbon chicken in there. Back when Bourbon chicken was like Bourbon chicken. Like, nobody knew about Bourbon chicken.
Wait, are you calling it Bourbon? Is that different than the Bourbon chicken?
Maybe it's Bourbon, but like it was like,
I think it's Bourbon. I think it's Bourbon.
Bourbon, but maybe I just can't say it right. But like, it was like, that shit at its peak was the most banging chicken of all time. Like, better than fried chicken, better than like some grilled chicken when everybody was going to the gym, better than like
chicken parm. It beats chicken parm.
Better than buttermilk chicken. How do you say it? Bourbon?
Bourbon. Yeah, bourbon.
Bourbon chicken. Do you remember like what I'm talking about? Like, there was
100%. Are you kidding me? I still can taste it.
Yeah, there was a span where that shit was like the Chicago Bulls when they were winning 6 championships in a row. Like, there was a time when the dude used to come out with his tray and like people flocked. Like, they had to be like, I can't get a second. Like,
they got this shit at the mall that I go to, dog. They got that shit. It is top tier banging. Like, every time I've eaten at this Chinese place in the mall, I'm like, I can't believe this amazing Chinese place is in the mall. And it gets like a semi-decent amount of love, but it deserves way more. Like, there's also a Chick-fil-A in there, and the Chick-fil-A line's always down the block, and I'm like, I see you guys, but you got to give this Chinese place some love. It's off the fucking charts in terms of how good it is. Every time I take a bite, I'm like, I can't believe how good this is.
And I'll give like Manchu Wok and Panda Express all its proper due, because those spots are bomb. But like, there's always one random, it's like China Express or like Japanese some shit like you've never even heard about. Those are the shits that their food smacks. Like, their noodles off the chains. But the dude they kind of got whack with it because again, when Bourbon Chicken was like in its peak, they used to stand on the other side of the counter because they knew that like everyone was just gonna come flock. Then they
Yep.
started getting lazy a little bit, and then they would just give it to you like over the counter. You
Yeah.
kind of had to ask. Then they
Hmm.
got even like they still had them in the little mouthwash cups. Then they got even lazier.
And just asked you. Yeah.
Well, they just asked you, but they also would just take a toothpick and take it straight out of the thing, which I
That
kind of
that
didn't.
that's
I
what they're
like.
doing. That's what they're doing now at this
They do that
place,
now?
and it is a shame. And the other thing, this place has, they call it black pepper chicken, and I got it, and I was like, this is probably gonna be whack because it's called black pepper chicken,
Yeah.
but they're just lying because it's really the General Chow's chicken, and I was like, oh, and it's the best I've ever had.
Oh, for real?
As far as General, I'm a fan of General Chow's chicken. I don't know how you feel about it, but it's the best one
Big
I've
fan.
ever had. And so, dog, I'm telling you, this place. Hopefully, at some point, you can go with me to this place. It's mad far, but it's worth it. Imagine we drive all the way to Virginia for this fucking mall.
I just leave Molly and the kids for like a week to go drive to like this Chinese.
We would do that. That's something we would do though. We would do like a road trip just to get this shit, and we would record it. Yeah, that'd be fun. I would enjoy that. That'd be good.
That would be super bad. And then like they're like they got like the white silicone cup. Like they don't care about environment or like any of this shit. Like they can have a Starbucks next to them that's like they got union workers and their straws or whatever. But like this shit, they got mad styrofoam cups. Their
The
straws
entire
are like
family works there.
the
Like
whole
everybody,
family works.
they're all
there.
related.
Like they don't care about the environment at all. They don't care about like any like labor unions, some shit, like health protocols, but their food is banging. Damn, man. Yeah, bourbon chicken, bourbon chicken, bourbon chicken.
Bourbon chicken. Bourbon.
That shit, I'm telling you, that shit was the Michael Jordan. Like that.
No, it was. It was definitely that. All right, so
That
I
and
want to.
Cinnabons. Every Cinnabon spot in the malls are banging too.
Oh, there's you remember that Anne's or Annie Ann's pretzels
Auntie
or some
Anne's.
shit?
Yeah.
Dog. Oh my God. And you
Life-changing,
smell
right?
it from the second you walk into the shit, you're like, oh, I smell it. You're in the mall, you're like 500 yards away from it, but you're like, oh my God, that smell. You instantly get hungry, even if you're not at all hungry. You could have just eaten, been like, I need that shit.
And the crazy part is, every mall has that shit. Like it must come with the malls. Like if you sign up to own a mall, there must be something in the contract that says like you got to have a banging Annie M's in this shit. Because
Yeah,
what? And
every
because
mall
like
has it.
whatever they do for that smell, they need to sell that shit as like a fragrance or something. Like they need to. Like I need to be able to walk into my house, and like if my daughter like diaper is like really like shitty, or like someone cooks something that smells nasty, I need to be able to like be like, yo, just plug in the Annie M's shit and make the whole house smell. If they get a whole mall to smell like some banging pretzels, and the boots are tiny as fuck, like it's like
So tiny.
like a closet.
Yeah, that's
With
right.
that shit, you'll be like the first floor, like at the bottom of Sears, walking in from like a random ass parking lot, and be like, pretzel shop is on the third floor. Make a right. That shit is right there. I can smell it.
It's true, man. It's true. I love that shit. The cinnamon, like the cinnamony pretzel, like oh my God, they're so buttery and delicious. Oh,
And there's no replication of Annie M's. Like Molly fucks with this spot called like Wetzel's Pretzels or something like that. And like
I think
they
I've
do,
heard of that, but I don't think I've ever eaten it.
they do like these little like nugget pretzels in like a cup, and she gets the cheese with it. And like it's good if you're walking around the mall, like if you want to just like have like a quick bite,
Well,
but it's not
they
Annie
have that
M's.
at the Annie Ann shit, and the Annie Ann shit is way better. Yeah,
Way-
well, I've
way
never had the. I
better.
can't comment on the other one, but that's the original shit. Is the Annie Ann shit?
That's the OG shit.
Yeah. So I just tweeted now. This was one of the things I wanted to talk to you about today. I just started a Twitter poll on it. Morning people versus night people. So what are you? That's a good. We'll start with that. What are you? Do you consider yourself a morning person or a night person?
I think I've changed into a night person.
Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting.
But I 100% used to be a morning person. Like I didn't mind getting up at 5, 6 in the morning and working out when I did. But with kids, now I'm 1,000% a night person because I like so look forward to them going to bed and me just being able to sit down and watch some shit and just being like
that's
quiet.
your only free time, right?
Only
Is that
free
your
time.
only? Yeah. So that's what does it. But normally, so beforehand, you would wake up, and as soon as you wake up, is it like lights on and I'm good to do shit. Is that
Yeah.
the way you are?
Yeah, 100%. Like I could, wake up and
Pop right out of bed.
pop right out. Like
Mm.
my mom, like I oversleep. I usually don't oversleep, but one time I had to drive my mom to the airport. She like shook my foot and was like, "Oh, we got to go to the airport." And I was just like, "Oh, my bad." Like, and got up and went. There was no like, "Oh, I gotta have a quick cup of coffee or some shit." I feel.
Mm.
What are you?
I'm definitely a night person. I'm definitely a night person.
Always
See,
been?
yeah, I mean, maybe a little bit less so now compared to how I used to be, but I'm definitely. So the way I look at it, the way I define it is this: like, when do you feel most alive? That's the best way to phrase it, I think, to determine whether you're a morning person or a night person. And like you said, some people, they wake up in the morning, they pop right out of bed, they're good to go, their brain's already functioning at 100%, they feel fresh. I know Crystal's like that too, just like you used to be, where she just, as soon as she wakes up, like it's all systems go. And for a night person, that's like when I wake up in an ideal situation, which we don't always have ideal situations in this world. In an ideal situation, I would have to take like about an hour to sort of like just lay there, let my systems like kick on, let my mind get into gear, and just
Damn.
sort of like ease my way into the day. Like I almost need immediately when I wake up, let me turn the TV on and watch a little bit of the Weather Channel or something. Let me scroll through Twitter. Let me have like second I wake up, I always pop a caffeine pill immediately,
Hmm.
knowing that this might hit me in 30 minutes, 40 minutes. But it's at the point where like even when I have the caffeine pill, still it takes me 30 minutes, 40 minutes to really get shit going. And then for me, I always felt like I was most alive and most creative at night. And I think it has something to do with um, just the fact that I feel like everybody else is asleep and I'm awake. And like, so there's like a general energy level quietness around me that I feel like
Yeah.
I can focus on my own shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's funny too, because if you think about it, like I was just explaining before, I love like bright, sunny, beautiful days. And when it's nighttime, obviously there's no sun and everything feels like more dead. So in a weird way, you'd almost expect me to be more of a morning person, but I'm not. I have a bunch of contradictions like that. The other contradiction I have is I like it kind of warm or hot outside, but I like it cold or chilly inside. And I know that's a big ass contradiction, but I've always felt that way. So like in my house, in the winter, I'll keep the heat at 65 degrees,
Hmm.
and then in the summer, I have to keep it at like 65 degrees with the AC. 65 is really low for the summer, you know. So like my bill will be higher because of the AC. And in
Yep.
the winter, my bill is low because I keep it relatively cold. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
like inside, I always like it cooler. Outside, I always like it hotter. And I've always definitely been more of a night person my entire life.
I
I'm
feel
actually
like
curious to see what people say in the poll.
I feel like you would be like a good like early morning person because you could kind of get the best of both worlds for that shit. Like I think I spoke about this with you one time or something. It's like when I used to go to work at super early or play ball like before work at like 6:30, 6 o'clock, and like there's nobody on the streets and the sun's like coming up. You kind of feel good because you're like, all right, I'm ahead of everybody right now. I kind of got like a head start on the day. I feel like you would crush those hours. Like if you got up at 5, did some work type of shit where you're like, all right, everybody's sleeping. I'm kind of still in my like nighttime phase, and then got the best both worlds when the sun's coming up, and then it's like bright again on some shit where you're like, now I'm good. I kicked into gear. I'm kind of like locked and loaded.
I think that's probably true, but I'm also somewhat skeptical of how possible it is to really change what you are.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like
there has to be
I
like a
believe
drastic
you.
something happen.
Yeah, like what I was gonna say is you almost swayed me a little bit against my that belief of mine just by your answer when I first asked you, because you were like, "Look, I was a morning person, now I'm more of a night person." But like you said, there's real life environmental impacts that led you to that position. But all things being equal, it would be very difficult to get you not to be a morning person. You know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think
So
it's also like ingrained in you too. Like it's hard to make a non-morning person a morning person. I feel like
exactly.
that's some super tough shit to do.
Exactly, because there are times because of the way my schedule works now, there are certain days of the week where I have to get up very early,
Hmm.
where I have to get up at like 5:30, 6 a.m. And even on those days, like I still generally the earliest I'll fall asleep is like 11:30 or
Yeah,
12.
yeah,
And that's so it's almost like no matter what, my body wants me to fall asleep at like 12 or 1 a.m., you know? And if for some people it works the opposite. It doesn't matter what time they go to sleep, they're going to wake up at 6 or 7 or whatever
Yep.
time it is that they pop out of bed.
Yep.
Me, I've never had that issue on the front end. If you leave me be, I could probably sleep until 10 a.m. Back in the day, I would sleep till like 11 a.m., you know? But it doesn't work
Yeah.
like that anymore. Like most days I have to wake up way earlier than that. I could wake up anywhere. On the days I have to wake up like 5:30 or 6. And then there are other days where probably most days I wake up closer to like 9 o'clock.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it was like a while ago, I saw Sager tweet some shit, like kind of explaining the daylight saving shit of like why people like
This was
kinda
one of
was
the
like-
things I had written down, not Saga in particular, but I had written down the daylight saving time thing. So have you followed that at all?
nah, but like I saw that they made something permanent where they're gonna keep daylight savings or some shit.
Yeah, so let me break this down for you. So the Senate passed permanent daylight saving time, which means this. You know the way it works in the summer where the sun sets later, the way they set the clocks?
Yeah.
So it would be like that year round. So year round the sun would set later. So in other words, in New York, instead of the sun setting at 4:30 in the middle of winter, it'll set after 5.
Oh, so we're not doing the change the clocks or doing any of that shit anymore.
So the Senate passed that, but now it has to get through the House of Representatives too.
Okay.
So the Senate is the 100 senators, and then the House of Representatives is the 435 representatives. And then after that, Biden has to sign it. So it passed the Senate unanimously. It was 100. It was just by voice vote. Everybody's like, okay, fine. I like the way this sounds. Good. And in the Senate, I just, it's at least as of the recording of me and you doing this podcast, it'll drop a few days later. But they said it's hit a snag in the House where now some people are like, man, maybe not. We're going to look into it.
Who the fuck has an opinion on that? Like, I mean, like, people.
I have strong ass opinions on it in favor of what the Senate did. I think the Senate got it totally right because as somebody who I definitely feel like I have a little bit of seasonal depression. So like when the sun sets early, when it's really cold, it's miserable. I hate it. I literally have like half the amount of energy that I have during the summer. During the summer, I have way more energy.
Yep.
And a lot of that is because the sun is up later.
The sun will be up to like fucking 9 o'clock at night sometimes, and that shit is just like glorious.
Glorious. It's beautiful. So anyway, Saga is against them changing it. He's
bugging.
He wants to keep it at. I think he wants to keep it. And correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section, guys. I didn't watch his piece on it, but I know he's in favor of. I think either keeping it the way it is or doing permanent standard time. I think he's in favor of keeping it the way it is, which is changing the clocks. And the only argument I've heard that people make for that is that if you're on permanent daylight saving time, which means the sun sets later year round, there are going to be days where in the dead of winter where the sun rises at like 8 a.m. And so they say like, well, what about the kids going to the bus stops at 7 or 7:15 or 7:30? It's going to be dark. They don't like that. They feel like it's dangerous, et cetera, et cetera. I feel like all of those takes are just so weak compared to the massive benefits with keeping permanent daylight saving time. Because like I said, basically anybody who disagrees with me on this, I sort of take it personal. It's sort of like somebody walking up to me and looking me in the eyes and saying, I think you should be depressed half the year. I'm in favor of you being depressed half the year.
Yeah.
And it's like, fuck off. Like, no, this is deeply personal to me because I don't want to be fucking depressed half the year. You know what I'm saying? And then also they've done studies on like when they change the clocks, the number of like strokes go up, the number of heart attacks go up, your circadian rhythm gets thrown off because the clock has changed. And so like to be against what they're trying to do now is just, it's mind blowing to me, you know, like, and I did a segment on it and people massively agreed with me. Right. And then I heard Sagar did his thing arguing in favor of keeping daylight saving time. And Crystal told me the video had like a 64% like rate or something. I was like, so that's low. That's low for YouTube.
Oh, that's low. Okay. I was going to say
low.
that sounds high. Oh, okay.
For 64% to agree with him is very low because that's his audience. That's his people. That's him and Crystal's people. And they're like, I really don't agree with you on this one. You know,
he's bugging on. If it's for the kids, he doesn't. I don't know if he has any kids. He doesn't have any kids. But like most of those kids get walked to the bus stop by their parents anyway, or if they're old enough to walk to the shit, they're fine. They're walking with a friend or some shit. So like, fuck off with like the kids in school thing. But he's bugging OD. One, it's just like annoying as fuck to change every single clock in your house.
Another good point.
Like
it's another good point.
Not necessary. Like if you want to make it state by state, like if random people in Iowa or like Nebraska or some shit need that law for them, like just let them vote on it. But people in New York, Chicago, California, that shit's not affecting them. So like, it's just an inconvenience. Like it's always the conversation when like my mother-in-law or someone will just be like, we got to change the clocks tomorrow. I'm just like, it's just so like, it's so dumb. Like, why do I have to go to my coffee maker and change the clock time because something that doesn't affect me at all?
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with you. So I just looked it up right now. 2 states, Arizona and Hawaii, and the U.S. territories of American Samoa, Guam, and the Northern Mariana Islands, Puerto Rico, and the Virgin Islands observe permanent standard time. So they do permanent standard time, which is the one where the sun sets earlier and rises earlier. So, but again, I don't agree with that one because then you even lose those summer days where the sun sets at like 9.
Yeah.
You lose those if you go permanent standard time because then all year round the sun sets earlier.
Yeah, that's a weird one because I know when I was in Hawaii, we made it a point to get up super early to like go do any hiking or like go and
Because
do
the
any
sun
surfing or
rises
something.
earlier and sets earlier. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but
I
the
don't like
people
that at all.
there, I didn't like that when I was on vacation. I didn't mind it, whatever, because it was like at nighttime we were going to dinner or doing some like shit anyway. But the people there, they said weren't early risers. So I was like, I'm surprised to hear that that's how it is in Hawaii. For Arizona, I feel like people get up dumb early to go on hikes and stuff like that. But Hawaii, that one's a little weird for me. So I could see Arizona getting down with that. But Hawaii, I'm surprised because I feel like people would want to keep like doing adventurous shit later into the day and not have the sun, go down.
Yeah. So I'm looking it up right now too because this is interesting to me. So the earliest sunrise time in New York City is 5:25 a.m. But that's on June 21st.
Yeah, that shit sounds normal. Like New Yorkers are up dumb early.
Now, but hold on, because this is if the sun is rising at 5:25 a.m. on June 21st, and that's with daylight saving time because it's in the summer. That means if you're on permanent standard time, the sun would rise at 4:25 a.m. Like
that's kind of
fucking
early.
crazy. That's insane.
Yeah,
that's fucking insane, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to make sure I got this right. I don't want to be wrong about this, but. So with daylight saving time, June 21st, 2022, the sun is going to rise at 5:25 a.m. And actually, that's a little bit bullshit because sunrise is when it actually pops above. The sky starts looking brighter earlier than 5:25. The sky will look bright at like 5:05. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that means at 4:05 a.m. in June, we're going to have at like 4:05, we're going to have the sun sort of rising. And come on, man, like just do the permanent daylight saving time. Most like. If you poll that shit, most people love it. The only other counter argument that I've heard is that they tried it once for a little bit in the 1970s, and some states were like, we really don't like this, we're going to switch it back. But I never read any specifics as to why they didn't like it. I just heard that, the people didn't like it. Like farmers might have had some sort of objection to it. But like low key, to your point, when you were like the kids. If we make policy based off of, oh my God, let's just worry about the kids, like alcohol would be illegal because kids shouldn't have fucking alcohol. Like nobody should be able to, you know what I'm saying? Like that's not a good argument.
And why are we catering? Like, one, why is it even taking up mad time in like the Senate and House and all this shit for like 17 farmers out there? Like, isn't there some other shit that's probably more important for them to be like voting on or like passing a bill on? Like, it seems just like such a stupid like topic to even be discussing. For people that like it doesn't affect the majority of people, but it's such a big controversial thing within like the House and Senate and all this stuff. It's just like
I think the way it impacts people the most is the ways in which I describe, which is the millions of people who have some degree of seasonal depression, who this would make them feel a hell of a lot better. So I think that's one way it's important and it helps. And the other way it's important and it helps is in the statistics on health, how like people generally, they go have a lower stroke rate, lower heart attack incidents, there was a list of benefits if you stop doing it. So like those are the things that I think are most important that to me are the overarching facts. But again, I take it personal when somebody's like, we should keep it how it is now, or we should go to permanent standard time. I look at them and I'm like,
you're bugging.
You're telling me you would rather me be depressed. Because I'm telling you, it's a big difference for me if the sun's setting after 5 o'clock, even in the winter in New York. Like that makes life so much better. It just
Yep.
does. And so if you
Yeah.
tell me I'm against that, I'm like, come on, man. Like that's just, it's almost disrespectful at a certain point, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a weird one. I don't get that shit at all. So yeah.
Um,
Is the guy who's the guy Clarence something? Is he
Clarence Thomas?
is there someone that's in the hospital that they said they're gonna have to nominate, or will they nominate someone else?
No, so those are unrelated. So Clarence
Oh,
Thomas is in the hospital. He has flu-like symptoms that dropped the other day. Again, this video is being recorded. By the time everybody watches this, it's a few days later. So
oh
I don't.
okay.
Who knows what happens by the time this drops? Who knows if Clarence Thomas is out of the hospital or gets
Who's
worse
Clarence
or
Thomas now? I feel like Clarence Thomas is like an author.
no. Clarence Thomas is a Supreme Court justice,
Oh,
and
okay.
he's been on the court for a really long time. And so he's out. He's in the hospital now. The person that they're trying to nominate is to fill the seat of the other justice who just retired. Fuck, I'm blanking on the justice that
Okay,
just
but
retired.
they're not gonna have to fill that guy's seat too.
Not as of right now. They're not going to have to fill Clarence Thomas's seat because he's still alive.
Oh,
Again,
okay.
this is going to drop a few days after we're recording this, so I don't know. Maybe he's out of the hospital now. Maybe he's still in. Maybe it got worse. Maybe it got better. Who knows?
Yeah, we don't
But
want to like poo-poo this guy.
yeah, as of right now, his seat is not being filled.
Oh,
Which
okay.
Supreme Court justice just retired? Is it Breyer? I think it's Breyer. Let me look it up. Yeah, Stephen Breyer. So he's just retired, and they're talking about replacing him now. That's what the hearings are about. Ketanji
Oh,
Jackson
okay.
Brown. Yeah.
Is the
So
is the Breyers guy who makes Breyers ice cream? I know you fuck with Breyers ice cream. I don't really like that shit at all. Because their vanilla has like the vanilla bean with like the little like spotted sparkle things in it.
yeah, low key, the best ice cream is honestly Turkey Hill ice cream. I know it's got a weird name, but it makes when you take Turkey Hill ice cream out of the freezer, it's still like scoops easy. Whereas every
Yeah.
other ice cream, it's like you're fighting concrete for a little bit, you know? For real.
No, I like that argument, and that's a fair argument. I don't think I've ever fucked with Turkey Hill based off of their name.
Yeah, no, that's why I led by saying the name is whack.
Yeah.
Like
You
you might
can't
as
have
well
your
have
name be
named.
Turkey Hill. Like you can't be an ice cream and your name be Turkey. Like you gotta have like a marketing switch or some shit. Like that's
Yeah,
just not
no, I agree with you. I
like
agree with
change
you on
your
that.
shit to T Hill or like but like Turkey's gotta go.
Yeah, it's like creating an ice cream and naming it like Gravy
Dutyville.
Dicks.
Yeah.
You know, like why are you naming it that? Why are you confusing people? Like it makes people like there's gonna be like if a kid sees that, they'll be like, "Is there turkey in the ice cream? Is that turkey flavored ice cream? Like what?
That's what
What
I've
what the fuck
always
is
like
this?"
thought I think, but I feel like real OGs and like someone like you who's like kind of like an ice cream connoisseur, like you know what's good and what's not good, you fuck with it and so like if you know, you know.
I'm actually it's funny because I'm not really that big of an ice cream head. Like I've gone through phases. Most of my life I actually was not ice cream was never the prime choice for me for dessert. I've never been
What were
like
you
oh,
like
let's
a
go with
brownie?
honestly, I've never been a dessert guy. Like I don't have a sweet tooth as much as I have like
Nah,
I'm
but you
addicted.
you I mean, is it I don't know if this is a dessert or not, but you're a big McDonald's like give me two apple pies.
Yeah, see that so that's the thing like but I have more the that's always the afterthought. The real reason I'm going is for the McChicken or for the burgers. Like I love fried food more than I like
But
dessert
I've
foods.
always seen you make it a point. I feel like maybe in high school or whenever we would go to McDonald's to be like, and I need two apple pies. Like I don't know if
That's
that just
definitely
rounds out
true.
the meal.
That's exactly you just said it right there. It's definitely true. It's the little like cherry on top at the end of the meal. Like I love the apple pies, don't get me wrong. There are dessert foods that I like,
Yeah.
but I am way more of a fried food head than a sweet tooth guy. Like I know you
Yeah.
probably so you're more do you like sugar and desserts more, right? Than the fried food. No?
No, 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 no. I think
No,
I
so
still
you're
like
more
the
with me
fried
on
food
that.
more. Yeah. But I
There's
I
some
mean,
people there's some
uh,
people who almost want to skip the fucking meal and get right to the give me the ice cream, give me the brownies, give me the
yeah,
cake.
no. See, I'm not like about that. Like when I was in Miami, Molly and like we were with her cousins, they wanted to go to like this like dessert like spot called Sugar or some shit and get like this milkshake with like just fumed crystals on it and stuff like that, like all this crazy shit. And it was cool, but after like three bites or like two sips of the milkshake, you're like, I get the point. Like this is kind of like a little too much. Whereas some crispy buttermilk, like bacon cheeseburger, whatever, like you could just keep eating it and like that savory taste just doesn't go away, you know?
That's exactly how I am. I've always felt like a lot of dessert foods fill me up immediately. Like I just
Yeah.
like you said, I take like 2 bites of some rich chocolate cake and I'm like, I'm full and I'm good. Like I don't need to eat even the whole slice of cake. Whereas with the fried food, like, I've seen you on your game, you've seen me on my game. I mean, I've made some legendary McDonald's orders where like I'll straight up crush like
The whole
four.
shit.
I'll get like 2 McChickens, 2 cheeseburgers, some fries, and 2 apple pies, and like I will find a way to get through that whole shit.
Yeah.
That was back like that was probably more like 19-year-old Kyle crushing that, but
Yeah.
like don't sleep on my ability though, because if I'm really really starving, I could definitely put away three burgers or 3 McChickens and then add large fries and some 2 apple pies on it. Like
Yeah.
if I'm really on my game and I'm in
Yeah.
the mood and I'm hungry enough, like I could wolf it down with the best of them.
Yeah. I've seen you pack some shit. And I kind of like, I mean, we always shout out like ourselves and our bodies, but shout out to like our fucking metabolisms. Cause like we crush some shit. Like we've done some shit in like the fast food world that other people, if they did it, they'd be 6 feet under right now. Like hard body karate, they'd be like down and out for the count on one of the meals, you know, like sweating, you know,
True.
like just OD, like, yo, I don't think I can go to work tomorrow because what we ate last night kind of put me under for like the next 2 weeks. So, like, we've done some shit.
My body has evolved to optimally like digest fast food and use it. Like you said, most people get laid out on it. I'm just
Yeah.
like, I'm good. You
Yeah.
want to go do something? You know?
I'll be like, I'll get tired sometimes just because it'll just like smack me from all that food. But like, I've kind of been impressed sometimes where I've just eaten so much shit where I'm like, yo, like, body, I fuck with you. Like, you know, like, and I don't, and maybe there will be a day where someone will play this podcast and I'm no longer here because of some shit. But until that day, I feel like my body's like, yo, you're kind of like, this is kind of you. This is your lane. Like, stay there and just, you know, like you got the same type of body. Your body is just like, you're good. Like, there's fast food in this world. You're a body that was meant to have it. So go and enjoy it.
Yeah, and in the summer too. In the summer when I'm really active and I'm outside all the time and I'm running around and I'm like, then it doesn't even matter how much I eat. I'm just not going to gain weight.
Yep.
Like I'm probably going to die because like you said, I'm probably fucking up my arteries and shit. My heart's going to give out when I'm like 52. But in terms of like gaining weight, no, I could eat whatever in the summer if I'm active, and I usually
Whatever.
am in the summer. Then my body's like, that's fine. Like you're good.
And we're not even on like some like Michael Phelps shit. Like I was watching the Olympics one time and he
Mm,
was like, yeah, I'll eat like a whole pie
mm.
and like some wings like before I swim like 900 laps. And I was like, I just did that yesterday and all I did was sit on my couch and like watch like The Office. Like I had a Little Caesars, the whole pie, and then later that night had some wings from or some shit. And I'm still good. So I'm kind of like an Olympic swimmer, low key. Without even having to do this shit. So I'm kind of like all the medals he's won and all the like accolades and shit he's gotten credit for, kind of fuck him because I've done the same shit that he does just without doing all the swimming.
Have you ever eaten a full Domino's pie?
Oh yeah,
The
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
regular shit, like the regular size shit?
Yeah. I mean I definitely have, but I think I've gotten to a point where like I'll leave one or two slices. It gets a little tough for Domino's. Little Caesar, I could eat the whole thing.
Yeah, those are
Um,
more like personal size though, right? You're talking about the hot and
no, they're
ready's?
still big. They're
They're still
big.
big.
Yeah, but it, the last one or two slices of pizza have gotten. I don't know if I've started getting like lactose intolerant as I've gotten older,
Mm,
but lately, like when I have like a lot of cheese, because I love let me, let me do
Parmesan
that.
on it.
I love Parmesan just like on pasta, and I like kind
Yeah.
of like OD on the Parmesan. Um, like my stomach will feel a little grouchy just from a lot of cheese.
Yeah. The about I want to say like 3 4 weeks ago, I ate at Cheesecake Factory and I had some banging pasta.
Yeah.
But low key, it laid me out for the next like 4 or 5 days, dog. Like there was so much cream on it
Yeah, they kind
That
of go
that
heavy
that's
on their
what
shit.
that's what I was told after the fact. Like I didn't think about it as I was eating it 'cause it just tasted good. I was like, oh, this is so fucking good. But then after I had that, I also had cheesecake.
Oh, bugging.
And
I mean, you got to do it, but like that's a lot. That's a lot.
so my body, because I've always told you, like, yes, I'm like mildly lactose intolerant. You're always like, no, you're not. Like, you're good. I've never seen you have to suffer from that shit. Well, I fucking suffered after that shit,
Yeah.
though. I
Yeah.
was like, my body was turning on me. Like, if it was, this is how terrible it was. It was that feeling that, like, I really got to shit. Like, you feel like you got to, like, diarrhea shit. And then you go to do it, but it won't come out.
Yeah. That. Oh.
And it
See,
was
I've
4 days of that shit.
Oh, that's damn. I would
Miserable.
write a letter to Cheesecake on that shit. Like, yo, fuck.
Miserable. Yeah, I should. I should sue him.
That's also like one Cheesecake when they first came out, their portions used to be like crazy, crazy. Then they got slayed, but then I think they went back to them shits like being on point again. But they're very notorious on like I used to get the orange chicken there, like Mandarin chicken or something like that. Same thing. The chicken is like drowned in like that sauce. So I can't even I think I would see people getting like the pasta and like the sauce just be like super, super heavy. So they got like a heavy hand on sauces at Cheesecake. But to your bathroom point, I feel bad for you, man, because like I've been there and like
Oh, it was
it's gotten
torture.
to the point where like you're on the bathroom floor in like the fetal position, like just like when your stomach is like straight, like you want to scrape the insides of your stomach out because you're in so much pain.
Dog, it was torture. It was torture. It was so bad. And then
Damn.
like I just felt so uncomfortable throughout the day. I couldn't do shit because of it. And then like I would still like I gotta try to fucking pass this. And then I go and it wouldn't happen. It was
I
just
feel
it
like
was so bad.
it's probably more the pasta on that one. I feel like they kind of like OD on their sauces at on the pasta.
Yeah. I think you're probably right. I think you're probably right. But the double whammy, my body
Maybe
was
you
like,
had
you
food
fucking
poisoning
idiot.
or something like that.
No, it wasn't food poisoning because it wasn't like it was such a delayed response. You know what I'm saying? That it
Yeah,
was like
it
I
was
was
sitting in
good.
there.
I ate it and I was good for like the rest of the day through the night, and then it was like the morning that it started hurting, and then it just didn't go away for like 4
Yeah.
fucking days.
What are the
Yeah, it was
chances
bad.
that we have one listener that works at Cheesecake Factory?
Oh, very high.
You think we have someone who listens at Cheesecake Factory?
Oh, absolutely,
All right, so
absolutely.
go into the kitchen and tell them like you guys are doing great. Just ease up on the sauce a little bit, like on all of your shit. Like
Yeah.
everything's good, the menu's bomb, the cheesecake's good, but just like you'll have the best cheesecake, whichever one you work at. You could drop the location, but that will turn into the best cheesecake if you just tell the chef there, whatever the recipe is, reduce the sauce by like 5%, and you guys, that shit will be the best restaurant ever.
See, but it's a trick though because it makes it taste phenomenal, but then
Yeah.
you suffer later. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it's a little bit of a trick. Like it's a trade-off. You know, like you're gonna enjoy the fuck out of this right now. You might hurt tomorrow. You might hurt later today, but right now you're gonna be eating it and being like, "This is the best thing I've ever had."
That's true.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
it's
don't
like
know. Yeah, it's a catch 22.
it is. It's definitely a catch-22. So, I'll get to the morning versus night poll. I'll go and read the Twitter poll in a little bit, but I
Yeah.
had some other things listed here. So when you, I saw somebody tweet about this. I thought it was interesting. When you ask somebody what time it is, or somebody asks you what time it is, what do you like in terms of a response, and what do you say? Because there's some people who are like, don't give me no fucking like 2:07. Tell me it's like it's 2 o'clock or it's 2:15 or it's 2:30. Like, don't hit me with the exact shit because that's obnoxious. Just tell me like, oh, it's about 2. What's your take on that?
Nah, I kind of need the exact shit. Because if I'm asking you, it's because I need to be somewhere or I need to be doing something. Like I'm not asking anybody the time if there's not a reason for that shit. So if you hit me with some incorrect shit and throw off or like mess up whatever I'm trying to do, and granted, it's my fault, I don't know the time. But if I'm asking you, I need to know like it's 2:13, dog. Like, and then I'm like, shit, I got to be at my spot by 2:15, you know? But the shit you should never hit somebody with is like it's 4:15 or
Oh,
like you hit them with
totally.
a not of time. Like you hit them with something that's just not even like a thing. Beyond
Don't-
fuck you.
yeah, don't make people do math.
Yes.
Don't make somebody have to think about it after you say it. And that's a problem with communication in general. Anytime somebody says some shit that you have to sort of decode, fuck you for talking like that. Like the whole idea of a good communicator is that they say some shit and it gets right in your brain and you instantly understand it. Like there's no breakdown, there's no like interpretation. It's just like boom, right in there. I got it. I'm good. Yep. And when people do that shit, you're so right. I didn't even think about that. You're so right. When somebody hits you with that, it's like 4:15. So
unnecessary as fuck.
A quarter is 25. So is it 4:25? No, you're saying a quarter in terms of an hour, so that's 4:15. Like if I have to think about it for even a split second, you fucked up. Because it's an easy ass question.
Yep.
But yeah,
I'm mad at people. Like if it's 2:07 and you tell me 2:00, that's messed up.
Yeah, so I'm with you because the tweet basically said like you have to go by like the 15-minute increment. You got to be like, if it's 2:07, you got to be like, it's almost 2:15. You know, like that's the argument that the dude was making.
And you're cool with that?
No. I read that and I was like, you're bugging. If I ask you the time. Now here, I'll raise it a level though, because there's a certain level of specificity where it becomes kind of psychotic. Like if you're like, it's 4:07 and 23 seconds, then I'm like, you might have somebody tied up in your basement right now. Like you're an accident.
Yeah, that would be weird.
Yeah, that's weird. But if somebody says it's 4:07, I'm like, thank you.
Yeah.
You know? Like
I'm like, just give me whatever the most accurate time your shit says on your watch. Like if you make me stand there with you for an extra second, like, oh, it's 2:13, 14. Like I'm like, like that one you could have just told me 2:13. I don't need to be like looking at your phone with you if it just changed. Or like if someone's like looking at their watch and then they're like, it's 2:14, but it's gonna be 20 seconds. I'm like, nah, I don't need all that.
But I'm surprised at the number of people who sort of agree with that mentality of like you have to round it to the nearest shit. Like
no, they're
if
bugging
it's 2:07, you got to say like it's almost 2:15, or if it's 4:58.
That just leaves so much room of like wrongness where my mind just automatically went to like if you're cooking and someone was like just cook up until like 350 degrees.
Yeah,
like you just have so much like you cook it at 150 and you're good.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good comparison. But yeah, a lot of people swear by it. Like if it's 4:28, it's be like it's 4:30. And I agree with you. I'm sort of I want the exact shit within reason. You know?
I think it also depends on, this would be interesting. If someone's telling you to watch off their time, the time off their watch, I feel like they're gonna be a little bit more weird to hit you with some like quarter or some like rounded up shit, because they're more old school. They probably like to hear themselves talk, and like they still have a watch. Which, if you have a watch, I respect. But if the time is right on your watch, I'm a little suspect of you, because it's like you should just have that shit on your phone. So if someone's looking at the time on their phone, they're gonna hit you with some like it's 2:19. You know, they're gonna hit you with whatever it says on the phone.
Yeah. So I'm gonna say something a little bit controversial right now, but the old school clock way of reading the clock has to die.
Like a clock on the wall?
Like a clock on the wall or a watch that isn't digital, that has like the fucking time telling shit. It sort of has to die, because there are times in my life where I've totally forgotten how to read that clock because I haven't read it in 7 years, and then I'm like, I got to read it, and I'm like, how the fuck does this work again?
Yeah, I mean that shit happens with me with like basic like multiplication. Like I'll look, like people put up like a funny meme or something, and it's like, do you remember how to do this? And like the comments like, yeah, of course, like 3 times 3. Like I'm like, damn, that shit just took me back. Like I have to think hard about like 8 times 7, or like, you know, like a regular just like division shit, like the check mark with the shit and the number and then the number. I like what? I would have no idea how to do any of that stuff anymore.
Now listen, in my defense, I've always been like anybody who knows me will tell you, I've always been horrendous at math. I'm so bad at math. I used to be so bad at math that my math teacher used to call my house when I was in middle school and be like, you know, Kyle's really not doing well. Like that happened all the time because I would
math teacher for taking the time to do that. Like, did he need to do that?
Mad obnoxious. But on the other hand, like he was sort of maybe trying to look out for me and be like, yo, get his shit together, because in other ways I was really smart, whether it was history or whatever, English, I would be good. And then in that math, I'd suck. So I've always sucked at math, But yeah, in all seriousness, to your point, I definitely, if you were to give me 7th grade math right now, I wouldn't fucking know how to do that shit.
All
I just
that
wouldn't.
shit. It's
I wouldn't know
it,
how to do it.
what's even like wilder to me is I'm so far removed from that I'm even more impressed that I was able to like do that at that age. Like when you take the division down and your shit goes all the way
Oh,
down your paper and then
it's
you
a
put another
miracle.
number up top. Like,
It's a miracle I passed any of those math classes. The second I was able to not take a math class, I immediately was like, I'm not taking the fucking math class.
but I'm
Because
still
like
mad at that teacher because he thought that like his math class was what you needed to excel in the most. So he felt the need to call your parents and be like, Kyle's not doing well in my math class. Like, fuck you. You're doing well somewhere else in like the social studies class
yeah.
that you should
See,
be doing well. And so like kind of just be a G and be like, maybe math isn't his thing. I'm not going to call his parents. And like he
that's
gets what he gets.
that's my point, dog. Like what people have to realize, and it's amazing that at this late date in 2022 we don't acknowledge this, we don't realize this, is that there are going to be some areas where people who are otherwise smart are just not smart. Like we said earlier, with all different types of intelligence. Like, why would you not try to nurture the parts that I'm good at to make me extra good at those shits? But in the areas where I don't excel, it's like, look, he's just not a math guy. Like we're a little too stringent with like, don't there if shit that people are learning right now in like ninth grade math. Now, if you're a math person and you want to learn that and you're going to get into a field that has to do with math, God bless, that's what's up. But don't pretend like everybody sitting in that class is going to use that, because 97% of them are not going to fucking use it. And
Yep.
so to like harshly judge somebody or make it so they can't get into a decent college as a result of that, when that's not their thing and they knew going into it and they know right now, I mean, come on. It's not a good way of doing education. Like
Yeah.
to be half decent at like 10 different things as opposed to a master of one thing, I sort of would pick the master of one thing over the decent at 9 things,
Yeah.
you know?
The teachers that got the most respect from me were like the G's teachers where like the kid would just be like, this was usually me, like just fucking around in class, not paying attention. And the teacher would just be like, just leave if you're not going to do this, because then it's like, you're not interested. I'm not interested in teaching you this. So just leave. It's just like, that's the route it should be. It's like, hey, yo, you don't want to learn this? Just leave. Like you don't have, you're at a point where you're old enough to understand that you're never going to do anything with earth science. Just bounce for the day.
Yeah. There has to be, and I'm not educated enough on education policies around the world to be able to comment on this with any specificity, but there's got to be some countries where they're doing education a totally different way,
Yeah.
you know? And my guess is there are ways to do it that's so successful compared to how we do it here. Just the standardized approach. Because a lot of brilliant kids are just sort of bored and annoyed in school because they're like,
Forced to sit
7 of
there.
my classes I'm not interested in.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm interested in 2 of them, but like most of them, I couldn't give a fuck about this. And the teacher's boring and they don't teach it in an engaging way. And I'm not being taught relevant shit. Like, that's the other thing too, is like teachers are wonderful. They should be paid well. And I'm massively pro teacher, but it is also true that there are plenty who approach it as just like, I'm just going to go through the motions. And the go
Yep.
through the motions thing is not going to be engaging, and it's not going to make it spark an interest in kids. Like, you have to have somebody who really brings something out of you. Like
Yeah.
with our psychology teacher, Mr. Mont, he was
Yeah. Shout
wonderful.
out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was wonderful. He was so, he was genuinely interested in the material and interested in the students, and there was engagement and all that stuff.
But you would just get more engaging classes if like the school just allowed you to be like, do you want to go to earth science today? And you're like, no. All right, then don't go. But like if we did want to go to psychology and like all the kids that didn't want to be there, like we'd have such a more, I don't know, just more engaging conversation and shit if all the people in there were like on the same page as
Yeah.
opposed to having some people that are like, I don't want to be in this shit.
Yeah, I agree with you. So after you get through like the very basics, so
Mhm.
after like elementary school, maybe you stretch it to like 6th grade or something like that. Then after that, yeah, they should start more honing it in. So like if you want to spend half your day in the psychology class and then half your day in the social studies class, like you should probably be allowed to do that, because
Yeah.
those are the things that I was more interested in anyway. And it became this things that I did in my free time. And then I learned more about it and I use it today. And, commenting on politics. If I could only, if after a certain point I was only interested in studying psychology and politics and I was able to do that with all my time in school, that would have been better. I would have been better off as a result of it.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. You know what? I'm just looking at you, and I think we've done how many episodes, so many of this stuff. I think I know why we're best friends.
Why is that?
Because we both still have wired in headphones. Or would you ever, or have you contemplated going wireless headphones?
So the reason why we have no option is because the mics we use,
Well, that too.
we have to plug it into the jack with the Yeti. And I'm a fanboy of these mics. I love these mics. They're relatively inexpensive and they're so high quality. The only downside is they're sort of sensitive, so sometimes they pick up shit that's not happening right here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I tried once to get into the wireless headphones. And I got them because what would happen is I'd go to the and I would plug it in and put the wire up my shirt and then put the headphones in. And they didn't really get in the way with the wires, but I was like, there's definitely a better way to do this. Let me look into it. And so I got some wireless ones that were specifically made for sports, where you put it
around the ear.
Yeah, it's almost like an earpiece and it stays in. But the problem I ran into with them is you got to fucking charge them. And I never fucking charged them because, like, it's a pain. Even to charge your phone is sort of a pain in the ass.
Headphones is crazy pain in the ass to charge.
So when you're adding 2 more things for me to have to charge, that I'm not going to remember to do it. I don't remember where I put the fucking charger. The way I charged those ones in particular were weird because I had to plug it into my laptop and then put the 2 shits on. So
they go into like a little box or some shit too, right? Like a specialty charging box.
Yes. And so I tried them. I wore them like 2 or 3 times, and then I just sort of slowly stopped doing it because the headphones were easier. They were more convenient to just plug the shit in and go. You know, if I have to charging it is a whole process, and I have so much going on all day long that I don't have time to think about charging it. And like I said, technically I got to charge like 3 things because I got to plug the shit into my laptop, which also has to be charged, and then I need to put the 2 shits on. And I was just like, this is actually not more convenient.
Yeah,
I just deal with the wire.
So me and Molly went running today, and I have a pair of wireless shits that, like, in a perfect world, if they were just like put them in, no charging, like whatever, you just put them down, I may rock with them a little better because, yeah, like I felt like it was a little nicer to not have the wire maybe smacking against me or up my shirt or something like that. I was a little bit more mobile. I felt like my phone, wasn't connected, but the same shit. The charging thing has to be in a little box. And it comes with like a wire that's like this long that doesn't even reach the like outlet, which is usually on the ground. So like you have to charge that shit on the ground in the little box, and like you forget it's there. And then when you take it out, the shit, it never connects to your fucking phone properly. Like that was my biggest thing. I was like, all right, I'm gonna use them. The lady in my ear was like 99% charge. I was like, let's go. It was like the Bluetooth didn't pick up and connect to my phone. And so like I always just rock with the wired shit, and like these shits, you got to plug into the mic, but like I feel like you were an OG like wired in headphone guy. Like
dealing with the wire is easier than all the other bullshit I feel like with the wireless. It's true.
Yeah.
Now don't get me wrong. Like I've tried ones like the new, whatever they're called, AirPods or whatever, that are noise canceling. That shit is impressive because when you turn on the noise canceling shit, you can't hear shit. Somebody could be screaming right next to you and you're like, I don't hear you.
Even in the little ones? Because I know about like the big ones over your ear.
No, even in the little ones. The noise canceling is ridiculous. I can't believe how well they nailed it. So like there are weird, like impressive things about it. But look, one of the points I'll always come back to is this. Why the fuck is there not a battery either for your phone or for your AirPods or whatever the fuck that could last like a month?
Yeah.
Like give me a battery that could last, because they have to be able to do that shit, right? They're just
everyone at Apple has some wireless earbuds that like could last 2 months or some shit. They're not releasing that shit yet, but they should have that.
Yeah, they definitely should have that.
It's just dumb, like to have the whole day and then you have to charge that shit at night. Like,
one of my biggest priorities for getting like a phone or something is it's got to be a lot of battery life. So, like I have a battery pack on my phone.
Can you turn that on and it like recharges it?
Yeah. So what you do is when you charge it at night, it charges not just your phone battery but also the excess battery that's right next to it. And then you have a full charge, then you let the charge go down to like 10% or 5% or whatever. Then you press the thing on the back and it starts charging again and gets you to 100. And then you have another 100%. So it's good. But yeah, one of my biggest things is like, I want my charges to last a long time. It's just annoying to have to fucking charge it all the time,
I like now that they have like the turbochargers, which make that shit go like super fast. I don't know if you have one of those.
So I heard of those, but I also heard that there are downsides to it too. Like it'll charge faster but drain faster. Is that true?
Oh, I haven't seen that. I've just known when
That's
I
not your
plugged it
experience?
in. Not really. Like I haven't run into my phone dying too much, but like when I plug it into that thing, it's literally like 5-10 minutes and I'm back to
Really?
like 60-80%. Like it goes fast.
Wow.
And now
Okay,
all
that's
the new iPhones like come with that one, I think.
okay. People comment, oh, they do. So if Apple's approving that shit, then it's probably legit by now. I was
Well,
gonna say,
I
people
mean,
in the comment section, tell me whatever downsides there are to those
that's
fast
what I'm
chargers,
saying. That
because
maybe there is a
I've heard things
downside.
that there are downsides. I've heard that there are. I don't remember what they are, but I heard there were downsides to it.
Yeah,
But
if
yeah,
Apple is
if it
approving it,
works,
they probably do
I
drain. Like
agree.
there's nothing. They're not putting out anything that's gonna like just be positive one way. You know?
I agree. I agree. But I do think if it's gotten to the point where this isn't like aftermarket shit that other companies are making, if Apple is sending it out, it's probably gotten to the point where it really does do what it says it does?
Yeah, but I don't trust them.
I mean, don't trust any of these fuckers. That's definitely a good approach to have. Um, if you find a hair in your food, do you still eat the shit?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, even if like I think because I just thought back to times where I've even seen some nasty hairs, and then I've looked behind the counter and seen like some nasty dudes that it's probably like if you did a DNA test, it'd be that motherfuckers. I think I still eat it. Cause one, I don't want to send it back. I don't want to like tell somebody like, hey, look, there's a hair in my food. And then two, like I'm probably just enjoying the meal a lot. Like it has to be like a long ass nasty piece of hair for me to like really not keep eating it.
When I was a kid, I would instantly stop eating if I saw hair.
Oh, for real?
But then as I got older, now I just remove the shit and keep eating.
Yeah.
You
I just
know?
feel like, cause at the end of the day, like, I mean, maybe you could get some nasty shit by eating or like sucking on someone's hair, but it can't be that bad. Like one strand of hair, but it hasn't happened to me too often. Um, and I'll try. I don't know. Yeah, I'll still keep eating, and then I'll try and reason like maybe it's just my shit from that fell in there.
Yeah, I'm at the point now where I don't even try to think about whose it is or whatever. I'll just remove it and eat.
But is
Now,
there a length of hair? Like if it's long, you'll still keep
n-
eating?
I will. The only time where I'll start to be like, I don't think I could do this is if there's like two or more. So if I
Oh,
find like two or more pieces of hair, because that's just an indication that like there might be some other shit going on with this too that we don't even know about, you know?
two or more. Yeah, that I'm 1,000% not eating that shit. One, yes, but I will say it depends on the length.
So the
Nobody
longer,
chop that out and just.
so you're saying it's got to be thick, it's got to be girthy. So you're saying, the longer the worse it is. So if it's like,
Yeah,
and is it also like the more obvious it is, the worse it is? Is that the idea too? Like if
yeah,
it's in an obvious ass place, it's like, well, that's a problem. But if it's sort of like a little hidden or something, then it's like, oh, I could see how maybe this happened and nobody's noticed it.
yeah. That and also if you, I think this will play a part if you already like take the bite and you're like pulling the hair out of your mouth. That one could be like
Mm,
oh, I don't want to keep eating this because you already like
mm,
tasted it and it's like fucked up your meal as is, you know?
yeah. That does raise the stakes, doesn't it? Like if it already got into your mouth,
Yeah.
then it's like you just maybe naturally lose your appetite immediately. Like,
Yeah.
I
I think
sort of don't
that's
want to eat anything right now.
yeah, like we're done here.
What
Maybe
are things that make you lose your appetite? How are there a bunch of things that make you lose your appetite? Because I'll say for me, nervousness makes me lose my appetite. I want to eat when I'm nervous at all.
well they say like the lighting affects your appetite, right? Like if
That
like a
lack of sleep
restaurant's
does too. Lack
oh
of sleep
really?
affects it too. Oh yeah, if you don't sleep well, usually your appetite goes up.
Oh,
Yeah, I've
goes
noticed
up.
it goes up. Yeah, so if you don't have a good night's sleep, you're more likely to not be able to regulate how hungry you are throughout the day, and you're going to eat more.
Oh, that's interesting.
But
I
my
didn't know
appetite
that.
will go down if I'm nervous or if I'm really anxious or stressed or something. Then my
Huh.
appetite goes down. So I
I
don't
feel like
stress eat.
nervous would you'd want to eat more because you just like
No,
moving your hands or like.
it's like some people stress eat. That's what you're
Mhm.
talking about. Some
Yep.
people do the opposite. They can't eat when they're stressed. Like their body stomach just shuts down. You're
Mm.
coasting off of like adrenaline, you know?
Yeah, I don't know what it for me. For me, like I could have like one potato chip and
Mm,
kind of be good for like the whole night. That's why when someone's like, "Hey, you want a piece of gum?" I'm like, "Nah, I don't," because it'll ruin my appetite like later. My
mm.
body's like weird where like I could like if I give it one little inch, it'll take a mile. If
Interesting.
that-
So, and when you eat, you're more of like a bird style eater, right? Like you'll eat little bits and pieces at a time throughout the day. Like you'll have like
Yeah,
little bit here
probably.
and there type stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah. See, I've always been more the opposite. My natural way I eat is like, don't
you
eat
got to
for a
have
very
big
long
meals.
period, gorge on some big ass meal. Don't eat for a very long period. You know?
Yeah, I'm very yeah. Yeah, I feel like that's but like when you have something small, does that mess up how you'll eat the diesel ass meal?
No, I'm sort of like you, where if I have like, if I'm like, I'll just have a little snack now or some shit, and then I'll
You could
eat
be
the
good.
meal in an hour and a half. I'll eat the snack and then I won't be hungry.
Yeah.
I'm the same way. Like I'm known for anytime there's some family holiday event or whatever, they start serving like the appetizers. I'll have some of the appetizers and just be full.
Yep.
Because they'll serve the appetizers, then the meal comes out an hour later, and I'm like, if you served the meal 10 minutes after I eat the appetizer, I would have eaten it, but now you fucking served an hour later and I'm not even fucking hungry.
Yeah. See, when I have a big meal, I'm very like strategical of how I eat it too. So if I have like a crazy big burger with a lot of fries, if I start eating the fries first, I won't finish the burger. Like I have to like stay laser locked in on just finishing the whole burger,
Mm.
and then like I've saved the space to like then work through the fries and maybe like the coleslaw, whatever else is on the plate.
Yeah, that's interesting. I usually attack the burger first, but not for strategic reasons, more for that I just want the burger more,
Yeah.
you know?
But I don't know if is it more mental or like actually like your body's like I'm good off of just a granola bar that you ate that you can't eat that same meal that like you were so hungry about before you
M-
had the granola bar.
My if I had to guess, I think what happens is you eat the thing and then you pause. You pause 30 minutes an hour whatever. And then what happens is your body already starts like digesting the granola bar and it almost is like your body's on pause from putting more food into your body because it's like we're working on this first. Like we're going to digest this, we're going to get everything moving on this.
Yeah, but it's just weird because like your body, I feel like allocated mad space. Like if you were like, I'm gonna house mad Chinese food right now, your body would be like, yeah, that's good. We could take that. But instead, if you have like if you have two Tic Tacs, your body also would be like, you're good right now. Your body's just as good
Well,
as if you had a full plate of Chinese food.
and that's also why there were arguments made about like portion control
Yeah.
because remember they banned the McDonald's supersize meals? Remember
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
And their logic was like, look, this is so much fucking food, and whatever portion you put in front of people, they're gonna fucking eat it. So why not just reduce, like, make it 80% of what it is, and then just serve that as the biggest meal, and then people won't eat a freakish amount more than what. So there is a logic there. There is a like a thing there. Like if you look at the portion sizes from back in the day, like when McDonald's first started, they were like less than half of what they are now. You
Yeah,
know,
like two French fries and like the burgers were mad small.
and it was just one burger and people would eat it and be good, you know? So yeah, portion control is a big thing. Like if you can control your portions, I feel like that definitely people would definitely lose weight more if they did that, you know?
Yeah, probably. Damn, if someone like came back from the dead, it's got to be so crazy just being super old because like if you saw a McDonald's menu when they first opened
Mm.
and it was just like three things on the menu of just like
And
some single ass burger,
10 cents for a burger or whatever it
10
was.
cents for a burger.
Let's look it up. Let's look up McDonald's. How much did a McDonald's
It had to have been like a nickel. Can't get anything
burger
less than.
cost when it opened? Let's look at that.
Imagine paying a nickel for
15
something.
cents.
Yeah,
15 cents for a hamburger. Wow.
I feel like I don't know if any place has done this before, but I feel like they have done that. Where if McDonald's was going to be like, today is 50s day, which would not be a good thing for McDonald's to do. But, but they're like, all our burgers are going to be back to 15 cents and the fries are going to be 10 cents. Like what it would feel like to just go in there with 15 cents in your pocket and walk out with like a burger. That's what it kind of feels like with the dollar menu. But now everything on the dollar menu is kind of slayed.
Yeah,
But
and didn't they also
like,
raise the price? Isn't it not $1 anymore?
well, they still have, I feel like there's a couple shits on there that are still like $1, but it's like nothing, no like actual food. Like maybe an apple pie is $1,
Okay.
but like a burger, yeah, is not $1 anymore.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's definitely not $1. I feel
But
like.
when something is $1, like Taco Bell has a $2 menu, and they got that shit that I always send you a picture of. It's like the grilled chicken Chipotle. But shout out Taco Bell. They are constantly hitting people with bangers, like for cheap too, like $2. They have this grilled chicken. I'm gonna shout them out. I need a like I'm gonna get a Taco Bell tattoo one day because they just are so on point with all the shit they do. Like they don't play like their research and development team just gets what the fuck people like want. There's like Arby's and all this other shit that straight always do commercials of like the new Western burger, and it's like no, it doesn't look good. Taco Bell doesn't even promote their shit, and they'll always have some shit on the menu that's just banging, banging, banging.
So you're talking like the nacho fries and the Doritos Locos Taco
Just
and all that.
like they just get it. Like they got the right people in the room to just be like, yeah, that works. They don't have any dickheads that are there like, why don't you throw an onion ring on it? And it's like, no, that'll kill your whole meal. So they have a grilled chicken Chipotle, like pressed wrap shit, and they put like the crunchy like noodle shit in it. And it just works. Like it just works.
Yeah, I was
And
wondering.
you gotta
Send me the
get no
picture.
tomatoes.
You sent me the picture earlier, and I was like, that looks like fuck, what's it called? Crunchwrap Supreme is what it looked like. But it wasn't
Maybe
that.
like I don't the Crunchmaster Supreme is that's like the taco in the soft taco in the hard shit.
Yes. Yes.
Similar to that.
Similar to that. Okay. Got you.
But they don't it doesn't have the whole full hard shell like lining
Right.
within it.
Okay.
It's just like you take a bite and it could be just chicken and the sauce, or you take a good bite and it's got like some crunch in it because it's got those little like Tostitos like red and black like crunchy shits. It's just so good. Like after we get off, I might fucking go in there and get some more of those shits. They don't play. Like shout out to them. I don't know where my point was with that, but this shit is just always on point.
I don't know how we got there either, but I am a Taco Bell stan. Did you watch any of my Kyle Ranks videos?
So I saw it, but I didn't watch it yet. But like,
so I did one where
you went through like 30 spots.
So I did whatever was on the list of. I ranked the fast food places, and then I ranked what was the other one I did? I ranked drinks, like soft drinks, not not alcoholic drinks. Those are and then there's a bunch more in the tank that I'm gonna.
Who won fast food? Like,
so the way the ranking works, it's not like one on top. It's like tiers.
Okay.
So there's S tier, A tier, B tier, C tier, D tier, and yeah. So some of the off the top of my head, some of the ones that were S tier, Five Guys and In-N-Out made S tier.
S is good.
S is top of the top. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So Five Guys and In-N-Out were on the top, and yeah, Taco Bell and even low-key McDonald's too. They made it to A tier. They're solid A tier.
Well, I mean, they've got good longevity. So like the thing I like about that's
consistent. Yeah.
Very consistent. I'm kind of surprised. Well, not surprised because I like In-N-Out. People sometimes shit on it, but like,
no, it's good. It's good.
But they haven't changed anything. You know, like it's like so that's how you know it's good.
I'll defend them on that shit though. I sort of respect the people who are like, look, we're traditionalists. This is what we do. Like we do this.
Yeah.
You don't want it? Okay, don't come. But this is what we do. I respect that because people like change is not inherently good. It can be good, like you said with Taco Bell. Like they switch it up and always nail it.
Always.
But change is not inherently good because you could change some shit and make it terrible.
Yep.
You know. So
Wendy's. That's why for me, Wendy's is not. I don't know if it was up there, but I don't think it should be. It's up there.
I fuck with it, man. I fuck with Wendy's. I do. I think their burgers.
Sometimes they try to get out of the box and do some weird shit that I'm like, Wendy's, just stay true to your burger.
I've never once fucked with some random new shit from Wendy's ever.
Okay.
I'll go to the traditional. I'll get the junior bacon cheeseburger.
Yeah.
I'll
See, those
get
shits are bomb.
Yeah, and also they did recently change their fries and they're banging. Their fries now are phenomenal.
See, I
I
don't
don't know
like
if you
when
had it
places change
recently.
their like. Is it like the sea salt?
No, I don't know what they did that makes it that how they changed it, but they're way better than they were.
Like
But
recently? Recently?
very recently, yeah. Like the
Oh
last
shit!
time I had Wendy's, like 3 weeks ago, was the first time I had those fries, and I was like, "Oh, these are really good."
Damn, I'm gonna have to
So
go try
anyway,
those.
as far as the big three go, Burger King, McDonald's, and Wendy's, I think Wendy's is above all of them. McDonald's is the most consistent, but Wendy's is above all of them, I think.
White Castle was on that shit.
White Castle's on that shit. They made a solid, I don't know, I think I put them B tier. I think I put them B.
Yeah, that's fair because it's like you can't get that shit all the time.
That's
When you,
exactly my reasoning was like, it's its own thing. And I
yeah,
respect it and they sort of freak it, but it doesn't have like if you're a true fast food connoisseur, you know, like if you have McDonald's on Monday, you might feel like having that shit on Wednesday.
yep.
You know, whereas with with White
White
Castle,
Castle.
you have it on Monday, and then maybe next Monday you'll have it again.
Yeah.
Maybe, you know,
Or you could even go like 3 weeks. Like it could. The spectrum is really,
that's right.
you know.
Mhm. Yep,
But shout out to the spots that only special. Like I'm big on Raising Cane's, and like Chick-fil-A falls there too. It's like we have chicken and we have chicken. Like you're getting chicken. You know?
So can I give you my controversial Chick-fil-A take?
Yeah.
So it did make it to I think it was A tier, so
Mhm.
it's in A tier. The reason why it didn't make it to S tier is because their chicken, their chicken sandwich in particular is what I'm thinking of. Low key, it's a little too thick. Pause. Like
I knew
it
you were
is
gonna say that.
double
Yeah.
how thick the chicken should be.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. In every other way, they killed. Like the Chick-fil-A sauce is banging. The chicken is delicious. But I just wish they would slim it out just a little bit.
I kind of agree with you because so here's my take on Chick-fil-A. I don't think I've ever really had a bad experience with
Never. Yeah.
the thickness of the chicken.
Hmm.
But the thought sometimes when I get that diesel chicken is like, I'm gonna bite into this. Like it just it doesn't look really right. I'm like, the chicken is just deformed and it's kind of like, yeah, too thick. Like it's like too chickeny. And two, sometimes before I bite it, I'm like, there's a chance this could go wrong. Which
Mm.
I don't, and it hasn't. It hasn't. You're still doing fine, Chick-fil-A, but like putting that thought out there because your chicken is too thick and you bite it and it's just too much whiteness. Like there's too much wiggle room to fuck up. You
That's
know?
so true. And actually, what you just described is why Subway got a low rating on my shit.
Yeah, Subway
And
fell off hard body.
and honestly, probably the main reason why it got such a low rating, I don't remember what I put it. I think I put it D tier, maybe. Um, the reason why it's there is because I've had a number of experience where I'm eating like a chicken bacon ranch, and like the first couple bites are banging, and then I'll always have a bite where I get one of those bad pieces of chicken, and it happens often at Subway, man.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, they try to do that like chicken teriyaki thing and it like the whole process is just sus. Like it just sits there in that little like
Mm,
cardboardy thing and he
that's
just
a
like
good
flips
point.
it over and like you're
Hmm.
right, there's always gonna be some piece that's whack. And then also when I'm eating like the meatball marinara, I'll always like think in my head like this meat is like horse meat or something.
Mm.
And then I'll always go back to the one thing. It was like an article and hopefully it was true. But like the bread is made out of like tires or some shit like that. Do you remember there was like an article?
Yes, yes. There's some shit that's also in rubber that's in the Subway bread. But
Yeah.
I will look. I will sort of defend their bread though. I think their bread is probably the least bad of everything there.
No,
Like,
yeah, the bread is banging, man.
yeah.
Maybe I'll eat
Mhm.
some like rubber tire shit, but it just like I'm always like just thrown off when I eat it. Like
Yeah.
I'll enjoy it sometimes if it's
Hmm.
still good, but I always have that in the back of my mind. Like the meat is a little messed up. Like even IKEA, I don't know if they switched their meatballs, but like they had
Yeah.
like those like horse meatballs or something.
Yep. I remember that story too. Yeah, I remember that the horse meat that was caught in them.
That was bad. Like one, I don't. You shouldn't be eating at IKEA. I don't know if that's like a thing, but like they do have a pretty big food court.
You know, people. There was a time when people be like, "IKEA's so good. Their food is amazing." And I ate in their place once, and I was like, uh,
Yeah.
you know,
And IKEAs are always like, shout out to IKEA because they do have mad shit and it's cheap and they like kind of fuck with you. Like if if your finances or whatever, you just need a little counter to put in, they'll have that shit.
mm.
But also, even if you live like next door to an IKEA, IKEAs are always like 45, 50 minutes away from your house. Like
That's so true.
even if like you put into Google Maps like where's the closest IKEA and they're like, yeah, that shit's 5 minutes from your house. IKEAs are like 50 minutes from everybody's house.
That's so true. But
Just they're in the randomest.
also, don't stop making people put shit together. Like, don't fuck that. I know your shit is cheap and it's made with like cardboard, fucking plasterboard sawdust that's compressed. Like, I got you, but the assembly's got to go, man. I'm so anti-assembly.
I don't know. I kind of disagree on that shit because I'll like if that shit takes me. Well, I don't do it. Molly usually puts it together, but like even if that shit takes like 9 hours and we bought it for like $9, I'm with it. Like I don't want to spend $90 if it's already assembled.
But the time and effort that's put into making it is like that shit costs money too. So yeah, it costs $9, but your time is worth more than that. By the time you're done building it, that shit was
Yeah,
$170.
yeah. No, I mean I feel like you have a good argument, but I just always like I'm a big low to high person whenever I'm searching for some shit on the internet. Like
Yeah.
I'll never click like just show me the regular rates. Like it's always low to high.
Yeah, looking for a deal.
Looking for a deal or just trying to get something for cheap, but like that shit typically breaks or will always fuck like mess up in the long run.
IKEA shit breaks before you get it home.
IKEA shit is always breaking. But
Yeah,
like, hey,
yeah.
if you get a good table for $40 that lasts a while, then you won.
Yeah. But I'm more like I'll just buy some shit online that's like an already assembled tinier table than what I need. Like I need a bigger table, but I'll get like two of the tinier shits that come fully assembled. And I'm like, I just found a loophole, you know?
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean,
Um
there's positives to getting the shit assembled.
so let's finish on this. Let's do guess what percentage said morning person and what percentage said night person. By the way, I just did an hour-long poll, 7,190 votes.
Damn.
Yeah, 7,190 in an hour. That's very solid.
I'm gonna feel good about this one here. Okay. I think the poll is gonna be swayed more towards night people for the Twitter poll. I'm gonna go 68% night, and then whatever the other shit is day.
That was a phenomenal guess, bro. Phenomenal guess. Night won with 72%.
Oh.
Morning people is 28%.
Yeah.
Now, what I'm interested in though is how much is this skewed because it's my audience. It's my Twitter followers.
Yeah.
And so my Twitter followers are like, shit posting edgy lefties. So and they're mostly our age or younger.
Yeah.
For the most part, and so they're probably those people are more prone to be night people anyway. So if you included the people who watch Good Morning America in this shit, does it just split and is it 50-50 immediately? Like how does that break down,
Yeah, you would have to ask like CNN or some old fart to put out that same tweet and see what their audience say. But yeah, no, that's interesting. I feel like I don't know, maybe I don't know what I'm basing it off of, but just a younger crowd tends to be more late bloomers. But maybe as they get older, same type of shit with me, they become morning people because of work or because of other situations going on. Like they don't have time at night to like watch their shit or do their stuff.
But that's the thing. Even in the days where I have to wake up early, I still have to lay there for a long time before I really get up. Yeah. And so by that definition, I'm never a morning. Like I never feel most alive in the morning. It's always at night.
Yeah.
Like before I go to sleep is when I'm the most awake, which is why it's hard for me to shut everything down and actually go to sleep.
Yeah.
Because it's a process to like I have to almost coax my body into going to sleep. Like I got to take a couple melatonin and I got to watch a TV show and not allowed, don't pick up, don't look at Twitter, don't do this, lock into the TV show, lay down, lay in a position where maybe my eye will start to shut a little bit and then maybe we'll see what like That's the only way I could do it. I know you're a much better sleeper. You could sleep
Yeah.
fucking anywhere. We could be on a plane, you could fall asleep. We could be driving, you could fall asleep. Like
Yeah.
anything, you could
Yeah.
fall asleep. I'm jealous. I'm jealous of everybody who could just say I'm going to sleep and then they go to sleep. I've never been like that.
Yeah. I kind of don't envy it at all because that shit is miserable. Like I could turn off the TV and just put my head on the pillow and like fall asleep. But there are nights where like if I took a nap during the day or something like that,
Mhm.
where at night I will have that same thing where it's like I can't sleep right now. And that shit sucks because I'm like, I just want to be sleeping. Like, and then
Yeah.
that makes your mind race even more and stuff like that. But
Mhm.
yeah, I don't know. I think it's just like something that's ingrained. Like, I think you're either just a morning person. Like, I don't think there's anything you can do to not change that. Like, your body's got to get used to that hour long thing.
It's I think I think you're right, and that was my theory too. I don't know how much is changeable, but if I put 100% effort into it, I could probably a little bit move the meter on it, you know.
Probably. Yeah. If you
But it
started
would
some
have to
routine
be.
in the morning shit.
I'd also have to make a point of trying to force myself to start sleeping way earlier. Like if I try to start sleeping at like 9:30, and then I maybe get to sleep by like 10:30 or 11, you
Yeah.
know, then I'll start waking up earlier a little naturally. So even if I wake up at 5, then maybe I cut back the time that I got to lay in bed by 30 minutes and get up in 30 minutes. Like, I don't know. I'm just spitballing here, but maybe it's possible with enough dedication and effort. But yeah, I tend to agree with what you said because that's always been my theory too. I don't know how changeable it is. You know, I feel like unless you were forced to do it, forced to become more of a night person, you know.
Yeah.
But outside of the forcing, like it seems very difficult to change that, you know. And by the way, there might be a reason for that too. I was reading some article sometime that said like back when we were hunter gatherers, some people would be on the night shift and some people would be on the morning shift, and so it's possible that the people who now are night people, they're more descended from the people who did the night shift shit. It's possible, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good theory.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's true. I don't know. I value my nights so much more when my girls are sleeping because I'm like, I got to do so much shit right now. Like,
Yeah. No, I mean that's what it is, man. That's dad life, you know.
oh, I don't know who but like, I wanted to just ask your thoughts because like this guy's a legend, but like Maury's getting canceled or like he's retiring.
I think it said it was retiring, but
Oh,
I
okay.
honestly, bro, I thought he was already off the air, dog. I didn't know he
I
was
didn't know
still
he was
going.
still on the air too.
And you used to watch his shit all the time.
All the time. But
Yeah,
I didn't
I
know if it
never
was,
did.
I thought it was canceled because if it was canceled, no, I didn't think it was
Let me
canceled.
look
I
it
didn't
up.
know which it was.
Let me look it up. I'll tell you right now. Hold on, because I
But if it
tweeted about
was
it.
canceled, I was crazy surprised because he's just the OG in the game
Oh, he's been doing it forever. He's
forever.
been
And
doing it fucking forever.
like shout out to him if
Okay,
he is just retiring.
Maury Povich announces he's retiring after
Oh, okay,
31
good.
years. So
Okay.
he's just retiring. But yeah, I never watched it like you did. So, but I really thought he was off the air and like he left in like 2008 or some shit.
Yeah, I mean, I hadn't watched his shit recently, but like he changed like you can't bring in another dude and do the same shit he did. Like the way his demeanor was, whether you were the father or not, like he was just so cool, calm, and collected when there was so much craziness going on. Like he was the perfect. I wonder what his values are. Like if he's like, if I learned that he was pretty like
Republican.
conservative.
Yeah, Pat Sajak is like that. The guy who does Wheel of Fortune.
Oh,
He's
he's like pretty
OD
Republican.
conservative. Yeah, and there's one
Damn.
other guy who hosts game shows who's like that too. I forget his name.
Dr. Oz.
Chuck Woolery.
Oh,
Chuck
Chuck
Woolery.
Woolery. Yeah, yeah, 2 and 2. I remember he was like
Super conservative.
at
Yeah.
CPAC and all that shit, probably going
Crazy ass
crazy.
concert. Yeah. It's funny. I don't know what it is about game show hosts that make them like that,
They're
but there are a few.
douchebags.
A couple of them obviously are, man, for sure.
But
Yeah.
Maury, I'm saying everything wrong. Maury Povich. I hope he would kind of be an idol of mine if he came out one day and said he like supported Bernie Sanders or some shit like that.
Mm.
Like if he did that, I'd be like he's the greatest dude of all time.
You
But I
loved
have a
all those
weird
shows.
feeling he's like a weird like Joe Manchin
I
like
have no
getting
idea.
or some shit.
I have no idea, but you loved all those shows. You loved Sally Jesse Raphael. You
Yeah, I mean it
loved
was all just like I
it was
mean
all TV when we were supposed to be in school, so you're just happy to be home and watching it.
yeah, but now
Yeah.
like when you're home working and that stuff's on TV, it's like all those shows are so garbage.
Totally.
But like more like Maury, I don't know why I can't say his name. He like actually had like entertaining shit. The other people like had topics that like Jerry Springer didn't. I didn't really like Jerry Springer that much because it was like too rednecky.
Mm-hmm.
Mo
Maury.
Maury. He like had stuff that was like still rednecky, but like relevant where like you can it was like relatable because he made you feel like it was something you were interested in. Like Jerry Springer, like you could tell was trying to hype it up and get them to fight and like would try to like antagonize the situation. The other dude would just sit there and like kind of just be a G, like, yo, you got 9 kids, like we're gonna do a DNA test, dog. Like we all need to know if you are the father. Like, and just be on some like, this is some shit that needs like we all like. This is like the world needs to know. Like even though you didn't give a shit about that dude or his situation.
Yeah.
Or the kid like being off the walls, he made you feel like you needed to like yo kid, control yourself.
I would like to go back and look at Oprah's show to see how she became such a cultural phenomenon.
Yeah.
Because her shit was the biggest shit of all of theirs.
Mm-hmm.
And from the little bit I've seen, I don't totally get it. Like I get a little bit, I could see it, but I don't know, man. I'd like to go back and watch to see if I could capture that essence of like what exactly why did she become the biggest fucking thing on the planet for so long,
I'm kind of convinced with Oprah and all these other people, like Al Roker and all these people, like we were just force fed them at a time where there was no other shit.
Now, I mean, I hear you. That's a good point. But with Oprah in particular, she definitely rose above that.
Yeah.
No, she definitely rose above because every single like dog. Oprah, middle-aged housewives, that's
all
like
rock
Oprah
with her, right?
was everything to them. Everything. Yeah. And now they got, there's so many attempts to sort of not copy Oprah, but just like the daytime, like Rachel Ray shit. Like, nothing equals what Oprah had that magic, But you're right that most of the people, they're force feeding us and they're almost forcing them to become a thing. With Oprah, she rose above it. She was magical somehow,
Yeah. Like even like Barbara Walters, like I'm sure she's a great interviewer and she got things out of people and made them talk, but like she was also in a position where she was the one who was interviewing them, where if there was like a savvy, like other, I don't know. She just seems old.
Well, she's been retired for a hot minute now, I think, right? I think she's been retired for a minute.
I feel like unless if she's dead, then this conversation, can we delete the whole shit? But
she's not dead, but she's old.
I feel like she'll occasionally
she's retired.
Throw her shit in there sometimes and like be a random like host to like interview somebody.
Yeah. What do you think of? I feel like The View. Sometimes I get it with The View. Like sometimes they annoy me so much, but other times I'm like, okay, they sort of made a good point there. You know what I'm saying? Like they're actually a little bit. It's just that conversational format is just good. Like people talking shit. Like it's just good.
Yeah. No, I feel like they. I mean, I rock like I haven't watched in a little bit, but yeah, to your point, I feel like they have a show where you think the people are like free speakers on there. So you kind of feel like you're getting just an authentic conversation with like Joy and Whoopi. And then they have like the conservative people like that will like McCain chimes in for shit.
McCain and Anna, whatever, Navarro or whatever it is.
Like half the time they're probably wrong as fuck on everything they're saying, but like like OD wrong. And then, but like you can watch the conversation and be like, all right, they're disagreeing with each other or they're one's louder than the other. So this feels like a normal.
They get a flow. They get a flow going. It's a real flow, and you're like, okay. Yeah, definitely. It's all about the authenticity, man. That's why.
Exactly. Yeah, and I feel like they come off as kind of authentic. So like that show is okay where there's another show I think on CBS with like Sharon Osbourne used to be on.
Oh yeah, is it The Real? No, is it called The Real? The Talk? Yeah, it might be The Talk. Like that.
Yeah. And there's like the host is kind of whack, and then there's like this other girl who's like the pretty girl on the show, and it's just like that one seems fake as fuck. Like they try to get mad at shit.
Yeah, it's almost like Wendy Williams is that to Oprah. Like Oprah was the real one, and then Wendy Williams is the overly chirpy, bubbly, fake ass one. Yeah,
but like she at least is like, I think she probably is really like that in real life, just weird and like very full of herself.
I could see that. I could see that for sure. I think that's a good point. I think
Because
that's a
her
good.
show like resonates with a lot of people. I feel like people rock with her show.
Yeah, it did, but I don't. I think I'm just allergic to things that I feel like are inauthentic, you know, and I feel like
Yeah.
she falls under that category, whereas Oprah didn't. Oprah fell under like you're doing some real shit here.
Yeah.
Even though in many ways Oprah was crazy as fuck. I mean, you know, she gave us Dr. Oz and Dr. Phil. Dr.
Oh yeah.
Phil back in the day was decent, but I remember Mr. Mont told me, our old psychology professor, he was like, that show is terrible simply because rule number one of therapy is that you don't like air the shit out publicly like that.
Yeah.
And so I was like, that's probably true, but it is sort of entertaining. But as Dr. Phil went on, like he did his show for so long, he might even still be doing it. I don't
I
know,
think he still is. Yeah.
but he's slacking now. Like he got to the point where he wasn't even doing some therapy shit. He was just bringing people on for the circus of it, which it was always the point, I guess, to some extent to do the circus of it. But it's definitely gotten worse over time. Where now he's
Yeah.
like rating people and shit, and it's like, come
Yep.
on, dog, you got to tap into the OG Dr. Phil. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. The OG,
he's
like, and that one
conservative
would
too, by the
probably
way.
have done better.
He's conservative too, by the way.
Yeah, that sucks, dude.
Yeah,
Like,
it
yeah,
does.
shit. And Dr. Oz is like, that's one that I kind of get a little tight about because it's like
Mhm.
if you're on TV being a doctor and actually like saying shit, like my grandma used to tell me shit like Dr. Oz says, don't put two Q-tips in your ear because you'll die the next day. Like, there's no better feeling than two Q-tips in your ear. So if Dr. Oz is telling you not to do that shit because you'll go deaf, then fuck him. Like, because I would
Dog,
say to my doctor, like, yeah, I'm gonna do two Q-tips in my ear.
a good Q-tip like earwax cleaning is just, and I got this weird thing that happens where a lot of the times when I'm peeing, I want to do the Q-tip shit. And so some days I'll go crazy with it and I'll find myself doing it every time I'm peeing to the point where like I'll use a Q-tip and nothing will be on it. And I'm like, why'd I
Yeah.
even do this Q-tip? But I just like that feeling. Yeah.
But here's an invention that on any listener, you're free to take this one and run with it. It's not a Q-tip, but make like a mini ass towel that like you could like you just like because your ear gets wet when you shower, so just have like a little. It's basically a Q-tip, but like it looks like a towel. It'd be cuter, and like you put the towel in your whole ear.
Imagine somebody now makes that and makes like $1 billion selling them. Everybody's like, the ear towel's like part of normal health. Everybody needs an ear towel. Every hotel in America buys it. And you're
Then
sitting there like,
I
well,
need some. I need a little royalty.
you gotta get a cut of that. All
You know
right,
what's
guys.
crazy is there's probably like I mean there's millions of more ideas out there that will help fucking change your life drastically for the better that we just don't know about right now.
That's so true. That's so true. And there are a lot of things we're never gonna think of that are right there and should be obvious. And there's also questions nobody's ever gonna be able to answer. You know,
Yeah.
like we have
Yeah.
limits, man. Like we have limits. All people. Is there a God? What's the meaning of life? Like some of the biggest questions. It's like we just have to settle for. I don't fucking know. You know.
Damn, he just ended on some deep ass shit.
Deep shit. Went from talking about Taco Bell the whole time like we always do to now ending on some deep shit. That is
I
standard
might go
Kyle
get that
Kulinski
shit, man, for real.
operating procedure. All right, guys. We love you. We'll talk to you soon. And let's see if this week I actually know how to stop the stream the proper way.